Alrighty, and we are live. Welcome back to Horsetooth Cinema. My name is Jackson, and here I've got my good friend, Mr. Osgood Perkins, director of
Director of good films.
many recent good films. Uh, well, we've got Leon here. How are you, man?
Not too bad, not too bad. Thanks for having me. As always, I'm doing good. I'm excited to talk about some good movies again after our last stream of
I
the
know.
worst shit imaginable.
I know. It's like I don't. I mean, it's nice to. It was nice to be able to vent a little
Yes.
bit at those films that were frustrating for us, but at the same time, I think I enjoy talking about not only films I like, but also like older films that didn't come out this year, things that might
Yeah,
even be something that if people in the audience may not have heard of, and once want to go check out. So
absolutely.
yeah, this is one of my favorite videos to do for
Yeah,
sure.
same
Um,
here.
been doing it for the last few years. So yeah, I think we're not gonna go. We're gonna start with like an honorable mentions kind of segment like we did with the other streams, but we're not gonna go like so in depth with that we're like listing off as many movies as we were there. Leon and I just kind of had a quick look. I think Leon's got a few more films than I do, but he's good. But we're both gonna go through them pretty fast. So
Yeah, these are just kind of like quick fire. Just hey, if I got around to watching these this year. If you haven't seen them, check them out. And if you're curious on if I've seen them, then I checked them out this year, basically.
yeah,
Um,
yeah, for
but
sure.
do you want to start? Because I know you've got a few less than me.
Sure. Yeah, I don't mind doing that. Yeah, I can go ahead.
Absolutely.
Well, yeah. So yeah, I just had a look at like what are like a lot of the 5-star first time watches for me this year that didn't come out. One is I'm a big fan of the Powell and Pressburger films, and I finally got to check out their film Black Narcissus, which is this cool kind of like um, it's honestly aesthetically it's kind of a precursor to like the nunsploitation films because it is about like a crazy lady who gets violent a little bit in like a what is it called, like a convent basically
Yeah.
in the Himalayas. It's crazy good visuals, and it's I don't know, I just enjoyed it a lot. I think it's a good story. But um, another one, this is the only I actually thought about putting this one on the list, but I didn't, just because I talked about this on my Oscar videos last year, and it's just come out recently enough that I wanted to bring some attention to other things. But that's the film Nickel Boys, which I didn't end up getting to watch in 2024 when it came out, but I caught up with before the Oscars and was just blown away by like how kind of the innovative filmmaking style and how that was used to support like such an emotional story. I've just never seen anything quite like that movie. So I definitely wanted to mention it. I do have another Francis Ford Coppola film to talk about later, but I saw two really great bangers from him this year. This one is The Conversation.
My
Yeah,
favorite. My favorite of his.
yeah, no, it's really, I think, probably, yeah, one of his best for sure. And just an amazing, like, and I'm a huge fan of that sort of that unofficial trilogy of like Blowout, and this was a great um kind of addition to that. And it, to me, it's one of the films that gets most at the at what kind of our modern social media landscape looks like, where we just project information onto other people that we don't know.
Yeah.
Really pathetic. um there's a film called Twilight, not that one. Um, the not the vampire film. It's there's this Hungarian kind of slow cinema crime film that I caught up with this year for a film discussion with a couple of friends, and yeah, I was really moved by like just the like it's a really dreary film. Like almost all of it takes place in this kind of black and white, super rainy late landscape, and it kind of, you can see how it's like a precursor to things like Seven or Memories of Murder and things like that, but it has this more like slow, like arty kind of style to it, which was
Yeah.
pretty cool. And then just a couple more. I do have another Western to talk about, but the other Western that I really loved from this year was The Assassination of Jesse James by the coward Robert Ford.
Need to see this. I feel like I might love it, like based on
Yeah,
all the things I've heard about it.
yeah.
Like it sounds great, and the
Although we
Dungeon
did watch
Bandits
Train
also.
Dreams together, which is definitely an influence, or at least
Ooh.
Jesse James is an influence on Train Dreams for sure. Did
Okay,
love
well,
that.
I mean, one of my honorable mentions is also something that might be considered an influence on Train Dreams, and I loved it. So
Okay.
who knows? Who knows?
Okay, yeah, that's fair. That's fair. But no, yeah, really cool. Like, kind of, if you liked Andrew Dominic, if you're curious about, like, because he really is fascinated by celebrity and kind of like mythic images kind of thing. It's a great deconstruction of that. I really enjoyed it. Um, the Third Man, I watched for Noir November and has quickly shot up my list of like all time favorite film noirs.
It's so good. It's so
Incredible
good.
cinematography, incredible performance by Orson Welles. Great reveal when they finally show
Oh
him in
yeah,
the
yeah,
movie.
that shot in the tunnel.
Yeah.
Oh wait, no, that's not in the tunnel. That's it.
No,
He's
it's just
just
on
like
the
hanging out on
street,
the
but it's
streets, isn't he? Yeah.
yeah,
Oh,
exactly.
so good.
Yep.
Yeah.
Um, I kind of disqualified this from the list just because it's not technically a feature, but it is one of the things I've been most floored by this year, which is the Holocaust documentary Night and Fog. Um, it is a brutal watch. Like, most of it is like, um, it's pretty much it's definitely a big influence on the Zone of Interest, except it kind of has more like archival footage
Yeah.
of like the real details of the camps. But man, it's, I don't know. I almost kind of regretted watching it like immediately after. It's definitely like one that will ruin your day kind of thing. So, um, and then just the last one here, almost had this on the list, but there was one other thing I wanted to include. But Claire Denis, I'm a huge fan of, and I caught her film 35 Shots of Rum earlier this year, and I think that's probably, it's just one of her best like family dramas I think that she's done. It's kind of her doing something a little bit more key, a little bit more influenced by like Ozu. Like, there's a lot of the Ozu movies. There's a lot of stuff about weddings and things like that, and there's a lot of that here. And it just has this really kind of sweet but still really climactic and kind of harsh ending to it, which I thought was really cool. So yeah, those were mine.
Was some great picks, and I haven't seen quite a handful of those, so there's some good recommendations that I'll probably go and seek out sometime in the future. So yeah,
Oh
no,
yeah,
great picks, great
yeah,
picks.
yeah.
I'm gonna be I'll be a little bit quicker with mine just because I have more, and I don't
Sure,
want
yeah,
to like spend like
yeah.
an
Sorry, I
hour
went a
talking
little bit
about
longer than
these.
I should with some of them, but
Oh no
yeah,
no 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 no! It's if we could make the stream 10 hours long, I would. But I know we're busy, and probably the people who are watching are also busy too. So these are in no particular order. These are just some films I watched from last year, which I wanted to give a quick shout out to. So two Cronenbergs. I checked out Maps to the Stars, which I think is
Mm.
one of his best. That if it was on the list, it would be very close to like the 10 spot for me. I loved Maps to the Stars. It's really funny. It's one of his satires, but like works a lot better for me because like I don't really take Cronenberg as somebody who's like a huge like satirical guy most of the time. Like he's more interested in like the body. Like he's
Mhm.
interested in
Yeah.
how the body works. And Maps to the Stars I guess kind of fits into that quota, but it's probably one of the funniest films I've ever seen from him. Great performances all around. Julianne Moore's hilarious. Robert Pattinson's incredible. I'm blanking on some of the other actors in it, but John Cusack's in it, and he's really funny, and I've never really took him for someone funny, so that's great. And then M Butterfly, which is probably the single-handedly most underrated Cronenberg film. It takes place in Japan, stars Jeremy Irons, and he essentially falls in love with one of the Peking opera singers, and there's kind of it's based on a true story. It's really beautiful, really touching, and he's even said before that it's essentially the commercial film that he's made. But even in it being a commercial film, it feels so progressive and it feels so unlike what most filmmakers who are making these kind of dramas like but I guess like kind of biopics, because it is essentially a biopic. He does it in his own way, so really great stuff. I did not expect to have this one on the list or on any positive list ever, but I finally watched I Spit on Your Grave this year, and I thought that
Man.
was quite an impressive little feature. I always turned off watching that because I thought it was going to be really gross and exploitative. And while the argument can be made that there are elements that go on a bit too long in that film, I think in terms of what it's trying to do in the same vein as something like Irreversible, it's mostly successful. The rest of the sequels are all terrible though, so do not watch any of the
Yeah,
later
you didn't just
remakes.
watch that one. You took like a dive
Oh
into
yeah, I
that
watched
franchise.
all five. I think
Whew.
it's five because there's the first one, the remake trilogy, which the third film in the remake trilogy isn't the worst thing. It's just not very good.
Yeah.
And then the Legacy sequel, which is probably one of the worst movies ever made. Terrence Malick's A Tree of Life, incredible. It was my second Malick after Badlands, and it's just such a visual odyssey. It's something that I can't wait to revisit in the future
Yeah.
so I can get a little bit more out of. But I was
I've
just
got
so
to see it.
floored.
I can't wait.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One we watched together, Eating Raoul. I thought that was
Ah,
absolutely incredible. I had such a fun time with it. One of the funnier films I've seen all year,
thank you.
and it's
I mean, I didn't make the
so well
film, but I have
made.
seen, weirdly, I've seen the film like 5 or 6 times in the last couple of years.
But
It's
it's so
like,
good. I get it. It's like 80 minutes. It's to the point. It's
yeah,
so fun. Oh, it's great. It's a great time. Sean Baker's Prince of Broadway. I think Prince of Broadway is really great. Kind of from that era where he was making like really low budget independent films, and it's got a great lead performance. It's really fun, but also like kind of heartbreaking as you'd expect from a Sean Baker film. The Smashing Machine, but not the Benny Safdie version, the documentary. Anybody who's interested in that story of the UFC wrestler fighter Mark Kerr, watch the documentary. Do not watch the shitty Benny Safdie Dwayne Johnson movie. It's terrible and just steals everything from the documentary wholesale, from the visual style of it to shot composition to line dial, like the lines and the dialogue in that documentary. It's like 1-to-1 in that the live action remake, you might as well call it. Terrible, but the original documentary incredible. Return of the Living Dead. I've seen Night of the Living Dead before. Return of the Living Dead, one of the most entertaining zombie movies I think I've ever seen in my entire life. It's so funny, has like groundbreaking practical effects, and it's like perfectly paced. It's like 90 minutes, I think, so you're in and out before it's over. It's so good. You've seen Return of the Living Dead, right?
yeah. I actually thought that we had brought this up last year, but I think what it was that Mike had mentioned it in the comments. That was one of his favorite first time watches. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure. And I forgot that you hadn't seen it though. Yeah, no, it's great.
Yeah, it was my
Yeah.
first time watch, and I loved it. I thought it was great. Baxter, which is a great movie about it's Taxi Driver or I Stand Alone from the perspective of a dog, like the inner monologues of a dog who's really cynical and hates the world. And fun fact, it's co-written by the director of Amelia Perez.
Oh, I've heard. Yeah, I've heard about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah, and surprisingly, it's incredible. It's really funny. It's really disturbing. Again, if you're in that mood for like a kind of I Stand Alone or like Taxi Driver kind of like deeply cynical portrayal of this dog who's like, I hate humans. I want attention, and I want someone who treats me like an actual animal. It's really perverse, but it's really great. Baxter's incredible. I hope that gets a Blu-ray on one day. Um, Gregor Rocky's Nowhere. I thought that was incredible. I mean, I've checked out quite a few Iraqi films this year as first time watches, and all of them, that, The Living End, and Splendor, I thought
yeah.
were all
The Living End I
fantastic.
watched this year as well. That's
Yeah,
I've got to see more, but pretty incredible.
he's one of the
Yeah,
greatest filmmakers. Like, and
yeah,
I'm just bummed out I couldn't put this on my list, but I've seen so much this year that I love just a smidge more. And then the last couple, we've got The Watermelon Woman, which I thought was incredible. Cheryl
it's good.
Dunye, I
Yeah,
think, is the director. One of the most like accomplished kind of directorial debuts for like an independent filmmaker I've ever seen. I thought it was fantastic. I know she's done a few TV movies, which I really need to catch up on, but I did
yeah.
a bit of a deep dive earlier this year into some of her short films, which are all pretty fantastic as well. Yeah, no, I hope she makes more soon, and I really want to. I think Criterion did a Blu-ray in the States for that, so I
Oh
need to
yeah, I
import
think that's
it.
been out for a little while. And
Yeah.
yeah, I might even been how I watched. I can't remember, but no, I think I watched it either on HBO Max or on Canopy. But no, really good film. I love all the scenes in the video store there. It's
Oh,
just
they're
really
amazing.
nostalgic and fun. But
Yeah, they're amazing, and it captures that kind of like vibrancy of like the youthful vibrancy of something like Clerks in a way, but like
yeah,
with a lot more on its mind, a lot more
yeah,
on its
yeah, I think
mind
that's
than
right. Yeah,
Clerks. Mute Witness, which is an amazing little thriller from the director of An American Werewolf Wolf in Paris, not a good film at all. But this one here is fantastic. Essentially, this mute woman is on set. She's working as, I think, like a production designer or something on some sleazy European horror movie. And she essentially catches what she believes. I'm not going to say what like the end goal or anything, but she catches these guys basically having their way with a woman and killing her, and she's like, oh shit, they're making a snuff movie. So she wants to escape from this kind of horror set. It's incredible. It has some great split diopters, very like De Palma coded. It's a banger. I'm going to recommend it at some point because I don't think you've seen Mute Witness, and I think it might
I
be
have
your
not.
jam.
No.
Nemesis by Albert Pyun, amazing. It's so much fun. It's I mean, any Albert Pyun movie, you're watching it and you're like, Jesus Christ, this guy just had so much creativity in his bones, and just there's some amazing, amazing stuff in it. There's a sequence where somebody uses somebody's body as like a skateboard almost to escape from danger, and I'm like, this is the greatest thing ever. I need to watch the like 5 sequels that he made. The Devil's Candy, which I thought was a really, really excellent little horror film from, I'm blanking on the filmmaker's name, but he did Dangerous Animals this year with Jai Courtney, and did The Loved Ones, which is kind of a Texas Chainsaw Massacre kind of horror comedy, which it's like style horror comedy, I should say. But yeah, The Devil's Candy is something I really, really took to. I thought it was very, very disturbing. It kind of has that like a cult satanic feel where you're like, this feels like demented watching it. Thought that was great. The remake of Breathless, I've got to shout that out. The original Breathless is like one of the worst films I've ever seen in my entire life. The remake is incredible. Richard Gere is a horn dog, and he's like thirsted over this girl. He's like, yeah, I really want to bang her. But it's got such a great sense of style. It has this almost like pop art comic book like approach to it. He's like infatuated with comic books, and he's like going to like comic book stores talking to like 11-year-old kids about how awesome the Silver Surfer is. I'm like, this guy's a fucking loser. It's incredible. Breathless is amazing. And then the very, very last couple, It's Pat the movie. I'm shouting out It's Pat the movie. Everyone hates this. It's considered one of the worst films of all time. And the argument can be made that it's terrible. It's an offshoot of a really, really annoying SNL character that nobody liked. Are you familiar with Pat? Like
I don't think so.
Oh, so in SNL 90s, there was essentially this character played by a lady, Julie something, I think her name was. And the whole joke of this character was essentially, we don't know the gender of this character, so everyone's always like, oh, are you a man or are you a woman? And it was like this like ongoing joke where every time Pat wouldn't answer, they made a film out of that for some reason. It's really, really stupid, but I think it's like the level of stupid that something like a Freddy Got Fingered is, where I was like, I can't help but just fall in love with how idiotic this is. And fun fact of the day, I don't know if this has ever been confirmed, but this is a long-standing internet rumor. There is somebody who apparently did some uncredited rewriting on this film, and that is none other than Quentin Tarantino.
Oh yeah, I think I have heard about this a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah. It's people say it's terrible. They're probably right. I had a great time with it. Dark City by Alex Proyas. I thought that was an awesome kind of like Matrix. Well, I say Matrix core film. It came out before the Matrix, but it has that kind of like
Some of those stupid Matrix movies predate the Matrix.
yeah. It's really really dumb in many ways, but it's also just such an incredible visual showcase. I love like the film noir, like neo noirish elements of the whole production. It looks incredible. It's got
Yeah,
like
Proyas is really good at that like sci-fi production design kind
yeah.
of. It's more so in the 90s than now, but I don't know. I even like Gods of Egypt, to be fair.
I need to see Gods of Egypt. I'd be on board with it. But no, I loved Dark City. Casino, Martin Scorsese film. I got to see that in the cinema this year, and one of my big like Scorsese blind watches. But no, really great. Sharon Stone's incredible in it, and it's a good companion piece to Goodfellas. Like a lot of people say, like Scarface and Carlito's Way kind of feel like companion pieces for De Palma. I think Goodfellas and Casino kind of feel that way too. Really solid film. Brief Encounter, which I think you saw this year for the first time as well.
That's
I
that's a great
really,
film.
really loved Brief Encounter. I thought it was great. I got to see it on the big screen, and I know it influenced so many filmmakers in so many ways. And yeah, no, just a really great time. And then finally, I saw Metropolis for the first time this year,
Oh,
and I
there you go.
thought that was really great. I'm someone who struggles a little bit with silent cinema, as you probably know, but I found myself really captivated by it. I think the production value, like it feels even to this day, it feels out of this world and
It
so
does.
unique and so wholly original, even though it's influenced like every science fiction film ever made. But like
Right.
it
Yeah.
feels so unique. But yeah, they're my top like that there's 20 films that I saw this year that I would have put on the list, but unfortunately I saw 10 films that I just liked a smidge more.
That's an awesome like list. Yeah. No,
Thank
it's
you.
some good shots, man.
We watched some
Uh,
good stuff this year, both of us.
oh yeah, we really did, and we got much more to get into here in a second. But real quick, we do have a few comments here from Brady.
Hell yeah.
Brady says, favorite watch of 2025 was Taken 2.
That's awful. That's a
We
terrible movie. I watched that with him. Bad.
we love you, Olivier Megaton.
Oh, he's
You
got
make
an
the best
awesome name.
films.
He's got a great name. He sounds like a transformer.
He really does. I think it's just because it sounds so much like Megatron, but
Yeah.
yeah. Leon Love Prince Avalanche.
No. I watched that like 5 years ago. I thought it was terrible. Stop,
What's
Brady.
Prince Avalanche?
It's a David Gordon Green drama with
Oh,
Paul Rudd and another person who I'm blanking on. I really thought it was like pretentious and smug and like one of the worst David Gordon Green. I'd probably watch Exorcist Believer over it again.
that's saying a lot, man. That's saying a lot. And then lastly, he says The Monkey, disqualified, came out this year.
Yeah, not allowed. Not allowed. So do you want to start with your number 10?
Sure, I can do that. Yeah, since yeah, we'll kind of alternate that way.
Yeah.
So my number 10 is a martial arts film that I'm very stoked to be putting on this list. I have been trying to get more into Shaw Brothers films. Not that I haven't disliked the ones I've seen. Not that I've disliked the ones I've seen. I just haven't seen that many. I remember catching Heroes of the East at the theater years ago, which was a lot of fun. What's that one that we both like, the body horror one?
Boxer's Omen?
Boxer's Omen. Yeah, like there's a lot of cool stuff in that. But this I think this is the 36th Chamber of Shaolin, and this is a Shaw. Yeah, it's a Shaw Brothers film. Okay, I was double checking.
Nice.
Yeah, this is probably one of the more famous ones they've ever done, and probably one of the most famous martial arts movies ever made in terms of like the thing I loved about it the most was the training montages in the film. It's a pretty like standard martial arts setup. It's like this person who I believe like flees this like battle of some sort. It's a little convoluted because some of it goes into like Chinese history against like Manchu oppression and things like that. But but yeah, he basically seeks shelter in this like Shaolin temple where he then learns like their ways and like improves and is able to slowly but surely over time and improve his fighting style, which then comes into use later with his own conflict and whatnot. And man, it is just some of the most impressive like physical performances I think I've ever seen in like a martial arts movie. Like the stuff they do around like all of like the water exercises that they do in training and just everything that they come up with this sort of Eastern mysticism of like these training exercises don't really seem to make a lot of sense, but it's great for the camera. It's almost like it's all an excuse just to like do the craziest stuff imaginable in kind of honestly kind of like a limited set environment. Like most of the film is just set at this Shaolin temple where they're all training and stuff. So I was just really blown away with how much they were able to do with that. I was not disappointed with like the legacy of this film. Like it very much lived up to the hype for me. So yeah, no, I don't know if I have a ton more to say about it because it's a very simple film in terms of like why you'd want to watch it. But yeah, just incredible.
I've seen a good handful of Shaw Brothers stuff, and I still need to see 36 Chambers. But how you're describing it reminds me a lot of one of the films I saw in the first volume of that Arrow Video Scope sets that they've got going on, where they have like 12 films in, and it was one called Dirty Ho. Incredible title, but
That's
it
a great
kind of
title.
had a very similar kind of feel to what you're describing, where it's like most of it takes place in like a single location or like one or two locations. The montages are easily like the most memorable part of the film, just because of how well they're executed, even if they don't make a ton of like logistical, like a logical sense and everything. And no, I think that's what the greatest like Shaw Brothers films really pulled off. So no,
Yep.
I really need to get around to checking that out. Great number 10.
Yeah, yeah,
Um,
absolutely. What about your number 10?
okay, so earlier you mentioned the Holocaust documentary as like one that's like kind of not feature length, so you disqualified it. I
Yeah,
have two that are
that's
around
fine.
40 to
That's fine.
50
It was
minutes.
just my personal
Um,
criteria.
so I think it's purely because these two like had such an impact on me when watching them that if they weren't like 50 minutes, because I don't want to just like have like my number one film be like a 40-50 minute thing. I probably would have had these even higher, but I lumped the shorter films as number 10 and 9, so I'll do my 10 first, and that is Alan Clark's Elephant. Elephant is a British TV film that later got kind of like, not, I don't want to say remade necessarily, but took a big influence. Gus Van Sant took a big influence for his film, also called Elephant.
I've always wondered
And
if those were connected. It sounds like yes.
yes,
Okay.
so Alan Clark did this on the TV, and essentially it's set in Ireland during like the heyday of like the Troubles and everything, and it's essentially 40 to 50 minutes of dialogueless like these kind of like tracking shots, almost like steadicam shots, because he became really obsessed with steadicams at the end, following people. And we don't really know these people. We're never introduced to these people. We're given no names, no context, no information about them, and we just follow them. And at the end of each of these, I think we follow about 10 to 15 people in this entire in this entire film. At the end of it, either they have an incredibly violent outburst, or somebody else has a violent outburst and murders them. So it's just like murder after murder after murder after murder in this like really bleak kind of kitchen sink like fashion, where you're just like, Jesus Christ, there's no music, there's no crazy editing or anything. Most of these are just like single, like long takes as you're following somebody. There's no context given for why they're doing this, and it's one of the more bleak, horrifying things I've ever seen. I watched it with Simon, like our buddy
Yeah.
Simon, and we were just kind of floored by it, because it says so much without having any real dialogue. I think the only dialogue is about halfway through the movie, where it's a guy going up to some like kids who look about 14 to 15 years old, and they're playing football, and they're like, oh, pass me the ball or something. And yeah, you can probably guess where it ends up. It's some of the more like horrific stuff I've seen, but I really took a big like deep dive into the work of Alan Clark this year. I bought this BFI set, Blu-ray set that has about 20 to 30 of his films. Some of them feature length, some of them about 20 to 30 minutes, all made for the BBC. And he's probably like slowly climbing the ranks of like one of my favorite British filmmakers to ever do it, because
Wow.
every single film of his felt so personal, but like also had so much to say about what was going on in society at the time of their release. And
Right.
the saddest thing about it is the fact that he passed away like a year or two after making Elephant. So we never really got
Wow.
anything else like from this era, where he really seemed to be like in his bag at that point, like making some of the greatest stuff he'd ever made. But yeah, my number 10 is Elephant. It's I think it's available on YouTube if you're ever interested in checking it out. I really like the Van Sant film, but I think this clears it in almost every way. Like, I think it's got a lot more to say, and the lack of real dialogue or characterization just kind of adds to the impact of like the bleak, like horrific stuff you're seeing on like screen. It's incredible.
Yeah.
Total downer compared to the Shaw Brothers film, and don't worry, my number 9 is gonna be the same, but it's okay.
Yeah, I
What's
my most of mine are downers, but I figured I'd open with a happy one. But
yeah.
no, that's a good pick. I'm really interested in that like part of history of like the Northern Ireland troubles and everything. So
Yeah.
yeah, I'm gonna have to check that out for sure.
No, I think you'd like probably at the very least 4-star it, but maybe even give it something higher.
Awesome, awesome.
Yeah. What's your
Well,
number?
real quick before we go into my number 9, we have another comment. This
Ooh.
might sound familiar from Brady. Leon loved Prince Avalanche. It's not the same
Oh.
comment before. Brady decided to type this twice.
No, bad.
Thank you, Brady. Appreciate it. If you want to
Thank
type
you.
it again, we'll take it. We'll take it.
Yeah, engagement.
Any engagement's good engagement. um, anyway, my number 9 is the other Francis Ford Coppola film that I was alluding to, and it might be a hot take for this to be like one of my favorites, but I think I do like this more than The Godfather. I don't think I like it more than Apocalypse
Is it
Now,
this one?
but it is in fact, yes, it is Dracula by Francis Ford Coppola. I have a Blu-ray over here real quick. Hold on, I'm just gonna grab it. It's a little different.
Oh, Brady loved Dracula.
I love this cover too, with like the suit of armor.
I love that cover.
Yeah, but anyway, yeah, I did. I finally watched this year. This was a big blind spot for me, and yeah. So I mean, again, kind of like 36 Chamber of Shaolin. The story is very simple. It's Dracula, you know it. But I think what makes this like one of the best adaptations I've ever seen of the material is how maximalist it is. It's really interesting too, because I've spoken about this with a few people. Dracula is often thought of, it's kind of lumped in sometimes with some of Francis Ford Coppola's most beloved movies, like The Godfather, Apocalypse Now, The Conversation, etc.
Yeah,
but it was made in the early '90s, well after he made those films, and everything that he made after Dracula, I think, can very solidly be considered late style. And you could argue that he was already making late style things before Dracula, with things like One from the Heart and all that. So it's kind of fascinating to watch him adapt such like simple material.
Yeah.
In his like, I don't give a shit. I am just going all out. We're gonna have some goofy acting, but it's kind of gonna work. Kind of way. Yeah, this is, the production design is just crazy. It's been talked about to death, but just like that opening montage where they go through like the war that Dracula went through, and like you see all the silhouettes of the impaled people and things like that.
Dude, the Dracula armor,
the Dracula armor is crazy.
God.
Like where it looks like real muscles and all that. The castle is nuts. All the stuff later in the film with like those sequences where like the female vampires like come out of the coffin and stuff like that. It's just so lush and stark. It's just a gorgeous movie to look at. And really sincere, good performances as well. I think the one performance that people tend to criticize as like kind of maybe not the best is Keanu. As is it Renfield he's playing, or is he like
no, he's not Renfield.
Well, because I forget how they name it in different Dracula, but he's playing the husband, like the Nicholas Hoult character in Nosferatu, and like that guy, the guy who's going on the journey to Dracula's house, and he's a little out of his element, I think, with some of these performances, because Gary Oldman is just terrific, and
he's doing his best.
Huh?
He's doing his best.
Gary Oldman or Keanu?
Keanu. Keanu. He's trying his best.
Oh, okay. Right. And then the other big one that steals the movie is Winona Ryder, with probably, I think, the horniest performance I've ever seen in a horror movie.
Oh, dude, that film is such a horny movie in general.
The whole movie is, but particularly her, where like it is like that. That I remember, Robert Eggers, when he was remaking Nosferatu, was talking about how he wanted to make like the kind of his distinction of it was that the original Nosferatu is just this really dark movie that kind of like reeks of death, and you can smell it and all this stuff. And then he was like, well, I want to do parts of that, but I also want to make it this more like romantic thing where like, what is that, like succumb to the darkness was the tagline, and where they try to, make it a little hornier. And I did not feel it. I thought it kind of like flopped in that regard a little bit. Yeah. But man, where that film kind of didn't work for me, this one works on every level. I think it really manages to achieve all it's trying to. So yeah, I don't know. I somehow, even though I think some people would say this is overrated, I think it's underrated. Like in Coppola's filmography, I think it's one of his best. So
no, I think it's fantastic. It's one I've seen twice. I caught it for the first time on the big screen and thought it was really, really good. rewatched it. Ironically, it was the last film I watched before we moved house. You know, when you stayed over and everything. It was the last film I ever saw at that house. It was me and Brady watched Dracula, and he did not like it. He thought it was boring, and I was like, "What are you on about? It's so it's amazing." But
I know. I heard it from
yeah,
a few
no,
people. My friend Ben as well, who I go to movies with a lot out here in Denver. He's also not a fan, and I just
oh,
don't understand.
no,
Um,
it's so
yeah,
good.
yeah, it's great. Um,
Great pick. Oh,
yeah. Well,
that's
what's your number 9?
my number nine is the last of the of
The
the I
shorter,
don't
like featurette kind of.
the shorter
Yeah.
featurette miserable ones. I mean, there's a bit of misery towards the top of the list, but this is probably the bleakest thing on the list. And that is Superstar, the Karen Carpenter story, directed by Todd Haynes,
Gotcha.
which is a student film.
I thought
He,
you
I
were gonna
believe
say
it's
Super Size Me for a second, and I was confused.
no, no. No, maybe next year, Super Size Me 2 Holy Chicken will make the list. I still need to see that
Oh, there we
one.
go. There we go.
But yeah, Superstar, the Karen Carpenter story is one of the first films that Todd Haynes ever made. It's about 45 minutes long. I believe it was a student film, and it was never supposed to legally release because it is your favorite genre of all time. It's a biopic. But the thing that this does that kind of makes it stand apart from most films is outside of the fact it's only 45 minutes long, the entire film centers around Karen Carpenter from The Carpenters, and she, as well as everybody else in the film, are portrayed by Barbie dolls because it's kind of a telling, like a storytelling device, because Karen Carpenter suffered with an eating disorder and a lot of like body positivity issues in her life and everything. So kind of making her this really like perfect thin like dream girl, as it were, along with like everybody else in the film, kind of adds to the commentary. It uses like all of their like original music and tells her like life story, which I had no idea about, which is one of the most like harrowing, bleak things I've ever seen. Like I know a lot of biopics like to kind of be a little downers and they're like, oh, we have such a hard, difficult life and everything. But this is just a very kind of blanket, like, no, we're just going to exclusively focus on all of the bad in her life for 45 minutes. And it's so like caring. Like it could be considered very exploitative by some filmmakers to do something like that, just focus on like, oh, this person had a lot of really bad luck and horrific things happen to
Right.
her. But Todd does it with such care, and like it's a very like gentle film, like in many ways, but then when it wants to hit you, it really does. And there's just some absolutely like mind-blowing stuff in this film. It sounds really silly because again, it's portrayed entirely with like doll characters and everything, but there are like some really interesting filmmaking devices that he uses that I just found like absolutely like stunning. I think it's out of the I've seen like two Todd Haynes films. I think I've seen that and Velvet Goldmine,
Mhm.
which I really thought was pretty great too. But no, this just stands out as like one of the great biopics of all time. And even if you're not huge into that genre, it's like 45 minutes. So
Wow.
it's not going to be like a big time commitment.
Yeah.
Again, like Elephant, I believe it's on YouTube. It's going to ruin your day. Like it will absolutely ruin your day. So do not like go in and be like, "Oh, I'm gonna have a great day." Don't watch it first thing in the
Watch a nice
morning. But
biopic about a pop star. Yeah, no.
yeah, but no, it's incredible. It has like kind of it had this huge legacy for a long time because it was really hard to acquire for about 15 to 20 years because I believe he made it in the 90s or the late 80s, and for the longest time it was like a big collector's item for like people who hoarded like VHS like exclusive rips or like work print versions. So I think it only made its way into like the general public's eye in the past 10 years or so, and before that it was a total like underground film. And it's never officially been released and never will be officially released because the estate of the Carpenter, of Karen Carpenter, like denounced the movie and they tried to sue Todd. So he was just like, okay, we're not going to screen this anywhere. So it's
Yeah.
very elusive. Well, it was very elusive for a long time, but you can kind of find it now. There's like uploads on YouTube and everything. And I just, out of everything on this list, I think it's the one that I want to implore everybody to try to check out because it's not a huge time commitment, and I think again, if it was a bit longer and like kind of fit the criteria of like a full feature length thing, I'd probably have it even higher. But I just figured I'd have that and Elephant at the like tail end of the list
Yeah.
just because they're like 40, 45 minutes long. They're not like huge like feature length films like the rest of the stuff I've got on here. But no, that's my
That's
number nine. It's incredible.
that
Highly,
sounds
highly
yeah.
recommend.
The way you were describing it a little bit, like the particularly like the idea of like it's like a biopic that focuses mostly on a person's like trauma and misery, kind of. It reminded me, but with empathy, as you said, it reminded me a little bit of Blonde, like in that
Yes.
way, like you're
No,
describing.
that's a
Is that
very,
a
very good comparison. Yeah.
okay? Yeah.
And
Okay. I'll have to check that out then, especially knowing it's much shorter than Blonde. That's one of a few issues I have with Blonde is that it's very very long. But
yeah,
yeah,
it's
nice.
just it's got me really excited to check out more Todd Haynes in the future because yeah, what I've seen from him so far I've really gelled with. So I imagine it'll be like there's so much I need to see from him still. So
Yeah.
I'm gonna try and do that this year. I want to see Safe. I want to see what's the big Oscar one from a few years ago.
May December
May
was,
December. I really
although
want
it
to see
kind of
May
mostly
December.
got snubbed at the Oscars. I think
Yeah.
it might have been like a screenplay nom or something at one point, but the big thing was that Charles Melton didn't get a nom for Best Supporting Actor, even though he was like way better than any of the other nominees. um, yeah,
Oh
but
no, I'll get around to that soon. I'm really excited to see it.
yeah, no, that's a good one. Yeah. Well,
Your
my
number,
number
number,
eight,
yes.
right? Yes, yeah, my number eight is, you know me, I gotta put on a western on the list every year. I love it. This is one of my favorite genres, and I love discovering new movies here. This is the movie High Plains Drifter, directed by the one and only Clint Eastwood, who I'm starting to really kind of become more of a fan of the more I watch his directed stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, really, really enjoy these films. This one is his the second film he directed. I believe the first one is Play Misty for Me, which I know a few things about and have heard it is a very ballsy first directed film, just given some of the controversial things that take place in it and stuff like that. This also has some of that stuff, which I'll get into, but the setup is very standard. Like I could imagine people going to see this in 1973 being like, oh, Clint, he's back doing westerns, he's back doing like the things that we like him to do, the Dollars trilogy, because it has the pretty much the same setup as A Fistful of Dollars, where a cowboy rides into this town. Although I will say immediately from the get-go, there's a little bit more of a darker, like almost like creepy, like horror tone to it. Like the music has this kind of, I forget, have you seen it or no?
No, I really,
No,
really want to.
it has this like high pitched like score that almost sounds like kind of like a it could be the background of like a horror movie kind of thing.
Okay.
And it's these like heat waves in the distance, and you see Clint Eastwood's like start riding into this town. And from there, it has that like similar kind of Fistful of Dollars setup where there's some sketchy people in this town, and like the overall kind of plot of the movie at a certain point is that he the town has been dealing with like bandits and stuff, and they want to hire him to to help save them essentially, and like kind of be their samurai, their cowboy. But the opening bit like subverts that right away because he looks like the man with no name. He has the same expressions. He goes to the bar. He's very short with like the bartender and stuff. Then he goes to the bathhouse to get like a shave and stuff, and these guys are like messing with him, and he ends up killing one of them, which is something that sort of looks like it happened in self-defense, and you're like, okay, mate, that's harsh, but like man with no name, it kind of fits with that. And then he does something else immediately after, when one of the women of the town chases him down the street, that the man with no name would never do. It is something much darker and much more like sinister than that. So you kind of know there's something darker right away. And it's a really great, I just love some of the images in it. At one point towards the end of the movie, when they're trying to like create a diversion for the bandits and everything, they paint every building in the town red, which makes for a really great like finale when there's a big shootout and everything. I don't want to spoil like where the film ends up going, but it's kind of ultimately like ghostly and kind of satanic by the end. It's for a Western. I think it's probably like maybe other than like The Great Silence or something like that. It's one of the darkest westerns I've ever seen. And
I never
great
need to see it.
performances too. I forget who the short guy is in the film. Oh, what is his name? But he's great. There's like so many great like sort of supporting characters. Let me just check the actor's name. I believe his name is Billy Curtis. Yeah, he plays this character called Mordecai, and he's yeah, really silly, but yeah, just I don't know, really well performed and just really well kind of constructed by Clint Eastwood. This was, like I said, very ballsy film to make. When everybody going into the theater is going there because they want to see you make fistful of dollars again, because it's definitely not that. Yeah.
Oh no, that sounds amazing. I've been diving into Clint's work quite a bit recently. I like 2 days ago I showed a friend Juror Number Two for the first time. He hadn't seen it, and I honestly like I think Juror Number Two might be like one of my favorite Eastwood, if not my favorite Eastwood films I've seen so far. Like out of his directorial efforts, but he's made like 40 films. I haven't seen High
Yeah.
Plains Drifter. I haven't seen a lot of like the early stuff like Play Misty for Me, which you mentioned. So like
Yeah.
there's a chance that they could like outshadow it. But what I love so much about Eastwood is like the variety in his films. So like you get the westerns, but then you also get like the dramas. You get the like even in some of his like on screen performances as opposed to like his directorial efforts. You get the Every Which Way But Loose movies. You get like comedies with monkeys. You get
Yeah.
like he's done like music biopics, he's done musicals, he's done like so much that I love, and it's just one of those things where even if an Eastwood film doesn't sound like the best, I'm always excited to dive into it just to see where it turns up, because you could get an American Sniper, which is the worst film ever, or you could get a Juror Number Two, or $1 Million Baby, or a Dirty Harry. I know he didn't direct that, but like just like films like that, which are just like, no, these are incredible. And High
Yeah.
Plains Drifter just sounds amazing. So you should recommend that at some point. I'd love to
I'd love,
like
yeah, definitely. I
see
watched it
that.
a couple times this year because I did it for a Western discussion for the Denver Cinema Club, where we talked about a few, and that was one that we ended up putting up. So I rewatched it for that, and I think it played even better the second time. Honestly, when you kind of know the ending, it's actually there's a lot of cool stuff to pick up on throughout. So,
Okay. You know, I'm really excited to check that out, and that's a
yeah.
great number 8.
Yeah, it also
Um,
really quick. I included it briefly in the thumbnail, I think, but I have to say I think it has the hardest poster of all time.
oh, the poster's amazing, right?
Like that
Yeah.
fiery like background and everything, and it basically just looks like welcome to hell, basically.
Oh, it looks
Anyway,
awesome.
yeah, that was my number 8. What's your number 7? Are we on your or yeah,
Number 8, we're
oh,
doing
number
it in
8? Okay,
reverse this
on your
time.
number 8. Yeah.
My number 8 is a lot more lighthearted than my last two picks.
Okay, good.
And this is one that it had been on my radar for a few years. It's one that I saw the DVD of so much, like growing up, like in shops and stuff. I'd be like, "Oh, what is that?" Never watched it until this year, and it's the film Torque, like
Oh yeah,
Torque, directed by Joseph Kahn, who he's most known for like directing music videos. He's directed a lot of like hip hop music videos and like Beyonce stuff as well. I think he directed the Crazy in Love music video and some Gaga stuff. Very prolific music video director. I think this is one of like maybe one or two features he ever directed, and this kind of seemed to be his like, I've made music videos for years. I've got my name and like I've established myself. I'm doing my blank check immediately. And what that results in is one of the most frenetic, chaotic, absurd new metal cinema-esque films I've ever watched in my entire life. It is so entertaining, like from the get-go. I need to actually find out who's in it, because there's some great like small roles in it from like actors who I didn't expect to see in it. So Ice Cube plays the villain, and Ice Cube is like delivering the most hammy dialogue you've ever seen with like the utmost of sincerity, which just adds to it so much. He's great in it. And Jamie Presley's in it, who was most known for My Name is Earl. She's like a supporting character on that TV show. And then Adam Scott's in it as well, and
yeah.
there's a few other people. Martin Henderson plays the lead, who if you've seen X or The Ring, he's in those. He's also in The Strangers Prey at Night as the dad. But in X, he plays kind of like the sleazy, like a porno filmmaker guy, like the head of the production essentially, not the nerdy guy who wants to like film it nice, just like the director of sorts. And
Like
he's just
the
playing.
Burt Reynolds character in Boogie Nights, like
Yeah,
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like the Reynolds character. And no, it's just a film where like I couldn't really tell you much about like the narrative, but like it's very much a it's like Miami Vice if it was just if it was 80 minutes long and just the funniest thing you've ever seen. Like there's so many crazy like shots and everything. Like some of the action is like absolutely like balls to the wall crazy. It's like Fast and the Furious on ADHD by a crackhead who is probably never going to make a feature film again, but I'm so happy we got this one. Like it turns into like anime in its last 10 minutes where people are like running at like supersonic speed to try and catch oh my god, it's amazing. It's like
Has
one
he
of the
made
most
anything since this
I
Joseph Kahn
don't
guy?
think so. I'm gonna just check now. I think the only thing that he directed that was of like real note, like so he directed a YouTube original film called Bodied, which is about like underground like rap battles, which was produced by Eminem, which makes sense given the fact that he's directed tons of music videos in the past. And he did direct this Power Rangers short in like the mid 2010s, I want to believe, which got a few like it really set the internet on fire at the time because it was like, what if the Power Rangers were like dark? And this fan film was so successful that Hasbro tried to take it down initially. There was a huge fan reaction, like backlash. They were like, "No, keep it up. This is awesome," and it ended up influencing their 2017 like Power Rangers reboot because of how successful this was. So he's got quite a bit of pull. I just wish that studios would give him like the budget to make these like cracked out insane action movies or just whatever like films he wants to make really because based on talk, I'm like, I want to see this guy make like 30 more like cracked out insane films with just this level of like energy and just like, oh my god, it's so entertaining. It's like one of the more like just like batshit movies I've seen this year, and I loved it. I thought it was fantastic. I feel bad having this over like two films I think are like really raw and powerful and like really moving, but sometimes you just need something that's kick-ass and really entertaining, and
Yeah.
Talk delivers on that and then some. It's the movies.
Oh
It's the
yeah.
movies.
The
That's
movies.
the movies.
Absolutely. We
Oh,
have a few comments actually related to this because I don't know if I'd even heard of that before you started talking about it, so I don't know how much I have to say. But we got Josh here. First of all, he says Osgood Perkins, big fan. Hi.
hi. Why are you a fan of me? I suck. I make the worst movies ever. Sorry.
But he agrees that Joseph Kahn is a good music director. I'm
Hmm.
trying to think like what you mentioned Eminem. Like what were the other
Um,
artists
let
he's good for?
me let me Google it real quick. I've got my trusty wireless mouse here, so
Good,
I can
good.
Google it and go on his Wikipedia page.
Yeah.
So, music videos. Joseph Kahn has directed in filmography. Oh, videography. There we go. Okay, so he's directed. So I haven't heard of many of these artists yet. Let me get. So he directed some Ice Cube and Scarface music videos. He directed. Okay, so this is like 90s. He directed a Shaq music video. I didn't know Shaq did music videos. Some
Oh yeah,
Korn
Shaq's the
music.
rapper. Have you ever seen the rap he did after he won the NBA Finals? Or
No.
it was he won it with the Heat. It was after he left the Lakers, and so he was like feuding with Kobe, and
No.
it's the whole Kobe tell me how my ass tastes
I
rap.
am not
Oh,
familiar with this
I'll
one.
have to send that to you. Yeah.
Please. Okay, this is amazing. He directed the Backstreet Boys music video for Everybody Backstreet's Back, which is like a banger music video. He directed some Usher music videos. Oh my god, he co-directed the Living Dead Girl music video for Rob Zombie, and that is an amazing, amazing music video. He did some more Backstreet Boys music videos in the 90s. I'm looking to see like the 2000s. He did some Wu Tang stuff, so like Gravel Pit and Protect Your
Okay.
Neck.
It's
Uh,
like
the,
pretty
the,
high profile overall. Yeah.
yeah, like he directed the Without Me music video by Eminem, which is like probably one of his most iconic ones. X Gon Give It To You by DMX. He did that. He did White Flag by Dido.
Okay.
Toxic by Britney Spears.
Oh, okay. So like really, really A list. Okay.
Yeah, like he's like one of the big ones. Did he direct? Oh wait, no.
Hell yeah.
And then yeah, just like over the last few years, he's done some more high profile stuff. So like Eminem, Love the Way You Lie, some Maroon 5 music
Yeah.
videos, Spacebound by Eminem. He did the Taylor Swift music video for Bad Blood and a lot of her more recent videos too. And she's like the biggest artist in the world.
Right.
So
Right.
he's
So,
very
so
very
he's in that
established.
mold now, and he's comfortable there. Okay. Yeah. So this
Yeah,
doesn't
he's
like ruin his career, just his career making movies.
yeah, like it didn't make a ton of money, and I don't think critics were really in on the like I don't want to say ironic nature of the film, but it's so gleefully stupid, but I don't it's not trying to take itself seriously. And I know critics sometimes struggle with that, and they're just like, "Oh, this film's really dumb and we're going to nitpick and like pick out like plot holes and stuff." And I think it's one of those cases where like this film makes so little sense that I can see why somebody would comment on it saying it's the worst thing ever, but it just fucking rules.
Yeah. He just said the same. He's like, yeah, directed the Bad
Yeah.
Blood music video with Kendrick. Yeah.
Yeah, he's
Um,
a really really interesting guy, and
yeah.
no, talk amazing movie. I will recommend it soon. You'll have a great time with it. Just make sure to bring alcohol or something to
Hell
be
yeah.
under the influence.
That sounds awesome. I can't wait to watch that.
Oh hell yeah! What's your
He
number
also he's
7?
asked, is it like Crank?
Oh, it's kind of like a PG-13 Crank if Crank was more like Fast and the Furious coded and it was about like high octane races, I guess.
Okay.
But no, it's one of those films that has such a an insane disparity between so like the general average for this film on Letterboxd is a 2.5,
Okay.
and my
Yeah, the Rotten
friends
Tomato score is pretty low. It's like 22%. I don't know what the audience score is, but yeah.
I'm trying to find my friend's reaction because again it's a 2.5 and then oh yeah, it's a 2.5 and my friend's general average is a 3.7, most of them being in the 8 and 9
Damn.
out of 10
That's
ranges.
awesome. That's
Yeah,
awesome.
it's Josh Lewis gives it 4 stars and I follow like so many people like Silent Dawn gives it like a 10. It's one of those films that like those in the know love this shit and for good
That's
reason.
awesome. I can't wait to check it out.
Oh, it's
One
great.
last comment before this. So Josh says, I like long legs. Sorry, Oz, but the rest is bum cheeks.
Yeah, I'll agree. I'll take that. Yeah, the rest of my films are fucking terrible. Do not go see any more in theaters. Make them all bomb, please, so I stop making films and go back to starring in films, and I can be in Quigley too.
Can't wait for Quigley too.
I
That's
still need
coming
to
soon.
see Quigley.
Coming
It
soon.
sounds terrible. What's
uh,
your number 7? I don't
yeah,
think
we're
it's
on 7 now. So my number 7 is I'm so happy to be putting an Abel Ferrara film on this list,
7. Yes.
which is China Girl, which
Oh,
he did.
yes.
Yeah,
Oh, I fucking love China Girl.
it's
Oh,
honestly, it's become like top 3 maybe. Like it's like Bad Lieutenant, Miss 45, and China Girl in some order, I think.
I think it's like 4 for me. I think the addiction goes over it just a smidge, but like, oh my god, China Girl's incredible.
Yeah, no,
Gush about
it's
it. Gush
so
about it.
yeah, it's if you don't know, it's essentially kind of a retelling of West Side Story, which itself is a retelling of Romeo and Juliet. So you probably be pretty familiar with the story of like, two young people from different side from sort of the same area but different sides of town where they can't who like have an attraction for each other but they can't be together because of their families and whatnot. Where West Side Story is Puerto Ricans versus Italians. China Girl is like Chinatown versus Little Italy. And I love that you get very distinct like cultural depictions of both with great actors. I believe is it James Hong that's in
I believe so. Yeah.
I forget. I'm pretty sure he's in this in the he's like the dad, I'm pretty sure,
Yeah.
of the girl. Let me just double check that. But yeah, no, and double checking here. Yes, yeah, he does. And there's some good Italian actors in there too. Like the lead is James Russo's in there for a bit. Yeah, so
Back before he directed those shitty Avengers movies.
yeah. But the no, it's I one thing I loved about it too was that it's kind of shot in a very similar way that a lot of those Abel Ferrara films of that era were shot, which is really kind of like Scorsese-esque, like really
Yeah.
emphasizing like the wet streets and the neon light and
Oh,
everything. And it just has this energy to it that is so palpable. This scene when the two main leads are in a club together, and they're kind of like slowly like moving closer together and dancing and like trying, it's this kind of
yeah.
like unspoken attraction, which I always love to see in film. And honestly, though, one of the things that stuck with me the most is that of all of the like, because when I read Romeo and Juliet in high school, in addition to all the weird like age stuff, I always thought it was just a little silly that like that was the ending. Like she's like,
Yeah.
"Oh, you're dead. I'm gonna," But this has, I think, with the most dramatically like heartfelt and like devastating ending to any Romeo and Juliet movie I've ever seen. The one in West Side Story is pretty damn good too, but this one is just like so like gut wrenching. The shot is so violent as well, the way that they
Yeah.
portray it. Yeah, it kind of has, so everything, all of the exploitation movie like reasons you go watch an Abel Ferrara film, it comes together, but the whole thing is this much more, I don't know, like parts of the movie are so much more like lighthearted and like hopeful.
Yeah.
Yeah, but and then kind of throughout it does have like bursts of violence as well, like from some of the gangster characters that are also
Yeah.
really shocking. Like the whole like Mercutio equivalent scene, but Mercutio versus Tybalt scene from Romeo and Juliet, their version of that is in this, and it's pretty good. So um, yeah, this has quickly just become one of my favorite Abel Ferrara films, which is saying a lot because he's one of my favorite filmmakers. So
Oh, he's incredible, and no, that's an amazing pick. I remember watching I want to say like 2, 3 years ago or something for the first time, and I was just blown away by how like I don't I don't know if I'd use the word comfy to describe the film, but I definitely feel like it has those moments where it's like it feels so just like down to earth compared to a lot of like the bleak horror of most Abel
yeah,
Ferrara films. Like
yeah,
it's just, and I don't want to say like it's one of his most human because I think all of his films like Miss 45 and Bad Lieutenant are incredibly human, but this is one that like I feel if I were ever to recommend like an Abel Ferrara film to someone who didn't want to watch the like horrific misery of something like those two like
yeah,
aforementioned films, I think this is like a great one to just
yeah.
recommend. And like anybody could really get something out of this one. It's
It,
so
it could be a
accessible.
Scorsese movie, I think. Like
Yeah.
or like a Sergio Leone,
Oh,
something like that from that time. I think
yeah.
it is one of his more accessible films because it's not. I think that and like King of New York maybe are good ones to
Yeah.
start with because they have his like violence and the everything that you go to his movies for, but they're not so transgressive that it's like off-putting for somebody that's never seen one before.
Yeah. Yeah, but no, that's an amazing pick. I need to revisit that. It's been a couple of years, but I remember loving China Girl. Like, no,
I
that's
think
that's an
I ended
amazing.
up watching it because of like how highly you recommended it at one point. Yeah. So
Yeah, I
yeah.
maybe it was on one of was it on one of my lists that I
I
did, or
don't think
maybe
it was, but I think we maybe a different Ferrara was or something. I
it
can't
might have
remember.
even, yeah, it might have even been on like one of the streams we did. I think I might have just mentioned that I'd watched it recently. I think like
Mhm.
I think it's coming back to me because I do remember gushing about it on a stream at one point, but I'm just trying to remember like what the context was. But no, it's fantastic. It's like one of his best films, and it's one of the ones that no one talks about as well, which like blows
Yeah,
my
compared
mind
to the
because
other
like
ones for sure.
yeah, I don't think it's ever had like a Blu-ray release or anything, so hopefully this year we'll get something because that film needs like a 4K Vinegar Syndrome release or
I was
something.
about to say Vinegar Syndrome. Hit me up. I will buy it ASAP.
Yes.
Arrow did a great release of Ms. 45
Oh, they
recently.
did. It's so
Um,
good. It's so
so
good.
yeah, no. Hopefully we get more. Yeah.
Oh no, that's a great pick though. Oh,
And
okay.
then your number 7 as well. Yeah.
My number seven. This is the newest film. This is like kind of like a Nickel
Okay.
Boys scenario where it came out. I want to say in 2024. I think it was 2024. I think it was last year. I only caught it for the first time in like January or February of this year, and it became like an instant like shit. No, I'm really mad that I missed this one, and it's. It's such a change of pace. It's the DreamWorks film The Wild Robot. I really, loved
Wow.
The Wild Robot. I was very, very blown away. Yes, I thought The Wild Robot was better than Casino. I'm sorry, guys. Um, no, I'm not somebody who's like, I don't want to say like I'm like not an animation head, because like when there's like an animated film that really, really strikes a chord with me, I love it. Like something like Perfect Blue, or something like even like the early Pixar stuff, or more recently something like Soul, which I thought was fantastic. But I do struggle a lot of time with the I want to say kind of the general like public reactions to a lot of animated films as of late, because it almost feels like something that 10, 20 years ago would be considered a pretty solid like family film or animated film. This is mostly in relation to like American animation, I should say, are kind of like glazed and held up as if they're like these like incredible things that have doing things that have never been seen before in the medium of film. Like I think of the reaction to that second Spider-Verse film, where I'm like, it's fine, but as a film structurally, it doesn't do much for me, and it's also, I think I find it really difficult to really give that film much credit when it's half of a story that I don't know when we're gonna like hear the latter half of. It's really reliant on if that second half's good, because we've had many cases of first parts of installments being good, and then you get It Chapter 2 or something, and you're like, oh, that just deflates everything I liked about the first one. Or like for
Yeah.
some people, the recent Wicked movie, something like that.
Yeah.
So I struggle a lot of times, particularly with American animation, when people are like, this is the greatest film ever made and stuff like that. But I did hear a lot of buzz about The Wild Robot, missed it initially, and then I got to see it at like a revival IMAX screening that my local IMAX did, and I was one of like maybe four people in the cinema for this, and it just blew me away. Like I think it's like one of the most gorgeously animated films I've seen in years. It's got great voice performances, and was the first film in God knows how many years where Pedro Pascal of all people actually wowed me, because I think he's such a so-so like actor for the most part, but he's really kind of finds himself like he really like animates himself in the role and does more than, oh, I'm Pedro Pascal doing the Pedro Pascal thing. But
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
the whole
Which
voice
bugs me
casting,
for sure. Yeah.
yeah, like the whole voice cast in particular is great. It's directed by is it Chris Sanders? I think his name is the guy who did like
It's
Lilo and Stitch and
yeah,
How to
yeah. I was
Train
gonna
Your
say he was like
Dragon.
a Disney veteran, like in
Yeah,
some
like
things. Yeah.
he's made some of the few like animated films that I'm really like, no, these are actually great. I see why people are like
Lilo and
kind of
Stitch holds up so well,
excited.
man. I Renee, that's like a really common rewatch for Renee because she loved it growing up, and she's also a big animal person, and so I don't know. I feel like I've watched it like twice in the last couple of years, and both times it's like held up really well.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's he's one of the few filmmakers where I'm like, I think I'll just see whatever this guy like attaches himself to, because he really gets the that blend of like making a like an animated film that families and like young kids and stuff will really, really gravitate towards. But you can also get a lot out of it if you're an adult too. And it's not just like, oh, we've got like jokes for the adults or anything. Like it's a very human film, and it really works its wonder on me each time I watched it. I've seen it a handful of times now, showing it, recommending it to people. I caught it a second time because they played it another time at the cinema, and I went to see it with a friend of mine, and she was like in tears throughout like the last half of the movie. She just couldn't stop crying, and I think all of the emotional beats are really solid. The voice acting is great. It looks gorgeous, but my favorite thing about the film, which is not something I can really like point to with most like modern animated films, is it has a fantastic score. Like it has one of the best scores of 2024, and I wouldn't have been mad if that won at the Oscars whatever year, because I believe it was nominated. I
It
believe it
was
was like
nominated. Oh, for score, I think because did it have original songs as well,
I
or
think it had one original song, but I want to say it was
I think it
nominated
was
for like,
nominated for score. I think too. Is I think you're
yeah,
right.
it's
Yeah.
such an incredible score. And like I find myself like listening to the score sometimes just in my free time, because I'm like, this is just such a like work of art. And I was looking at I can't remember what else the composer did, but most of what they've done in the past is really unexceptional, like biopic stuff. Like I think they've just done some very, very like let me quickly go have a look now, because I've got the list on Letterboxd. But
Yeah.
no, the composer
Chris
really has,
Bowers.
yeah, what has Chris Bowers done before?
Uh,
Yeah, like Green Book and
Oh
Space
wow,
Jam:
yeah.
A New Legacy
Okay.
and Bob Marley: One Love and that King
Oh god.
Richard movie, like stuff that is really like just like I hate to say, but like trite and just like
Yeah.
bad. Like just
Trite's a good word, I think. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
he's not somebody I would have previously said, "Oh yeah, you're gonna make music that has me on like the verge of tears." But like he
Yeah.
really nailed it with that, and I just think it's like one of those great modern animated films that actually worked for me. It's not something where like I'm watching something like again the second Spider-Verse movie, and I'm like, this is fine. It's got really cool animation, but that's all I can really give it. Like it doesn't do much for me emotionally, and it just kind of ends abruptly. This is like a full story that I think it's only like 100, maybe 110 minutes long. It's to the point, and yeah, there's nothing I can really fault it for. I really loved it, and it's probably like the strangest inclusion on this list compared to like some of the
I
like
was surprised when you said. I mean, I'm not gonna disagree. I loved it as well, but
yeah.
yeah, no, I mean, I wasn't expecting it after some of the other stuff you had mentioned.
Yeah, it's one that I was like, how high am I gonna have this? And no, I really loved it. I think it's one of those like breath of fresh airs that I can't stop raving about. And now I'm turning into those people who annoy me who are like, you've got to watch this animated movie. And like I'm
Yeah,
turning into those people for this one. But no, it really is quite exceptional. And if you haven't seen The Wild Robot, check it out.
great pick, man. Yeah, no, I couldn't agree more. I thought it was really refreshing. I kind of like reminded me of Wally a little bit, and kind of how much like
Yeah.
silence there is, and how much it kind of respects its audience in that way.
Mhm.
Um, yeah,
And I
I was.
know
Yeah,
oh, no, sorry. I was just gonna say. I know he was also super influenced by a lot of like Miyazaki and stuff
yeah,
for it
for
from like
sure, for
interviews.
sure.
So it
With
does
all the
have that.
nature and the cute little guys and everything. Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah, it doesn't feel like everything that we typically get from a lot of like mainstream American like animated like films nowadays. So no,
Very
yeah,
refreshing.
it was
Yeah.
great.
No,
Yeah,
that's a great pick.
thank you. What's your number six?
It is one of your absolute favorite films of all time that I discovered this year. It is the film Stop Making Sense. Uh,
Yes, 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 yes.
by Jonathan Demme, or and yeah, I have to say I was hesitant to watch this because don't kill me for this. I was on a plane. I was on a plane going to New York, and I remember just like scrolling through different things I could watch, and I was like really underwhelmed by like the options they had, and then I saw that they had Stopped Making Sense, and I was like, you know what, like this flight doesn't have too much longer. This is a fairly short film, and you know what, like and actually Renee had her headphones instead of just the shitty earbuds I had. So I was like, can I borrow your headphones since you're not using them? And I at least had better sound. And I was like, you know what? That's the important thing with this movie is the sound. So that'll still be okay. And yeah, I was just blown away. Like I haven't seen a ton of concert movies just in general, but this is by far the best one I've ever seen because I mean, it's like fun, weird music, much of which I was familiar with. I mean, I think Psycho Killer everybody kind of knows, but like
Yeah.
I still there was a lot I didn't know with the Talking Heads. I've been listening to their music a lot more since, and just the performance, the way it's shot, the way it's kind of like so much of the emphasis, like there is emphasis on the crowds and how much they're enjoying it, but they kind of give the edit time to breathe a little bit. Like
Yeah.
there's a lot where you're just kind of locked onto one performer, whether it's I'm so sorry, what's his name?
David Byrne.
Yeah, David Byrne, or like the crazy guitarist and everything. That I just love like how often she's doing the whole like whipping her hair everywhere and all that, and like just
Yeah.
the bass player, I mean, and
Tina
like
something. I'm blanking on her
yeah,
name, but it's Tina
it just
something.
has this sort of energy of I'm being myself, I'm performing how I want to perform, and
Yeah.
something about that authenticity like really comes through, and yeah, like I said, just I think the best concert film I've ever seen, and I've like I said, I've been listening more to Talking Heads music because of it. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Oh no, that's an amazing pick. It's one of those films I watched in like 2020 for the first time, 2021, and I was like, oh yeah, everyone like really, really hypes this up. Am I gonna get a kick out of it? Because I too wasn't someone who was insanely familiar with Talking Heads on like I can name the songs basis, but I knew Psycho Killer, I knew like Burning Down the House, and
Yeah.
like watching that film for the first time was kind of just like a revelatory experience where I was like, oh, okay, okay.
Hmm.
I see now. And to this day, I think I've seen it like 7 or 8 times, and like it's something I haven't seen for a few years, so I need to dive back into. I got that the snazzy A24 4K release they did, so I have no like
Yeah.
excuse not to revisit it. But no, it's just one of the most high octane, just like super energetic and lively like
Yeah.
concert films I've ever seen. All of the music is great, obviously, but again, like Jonathan Demme's film, like his like directing and filmmaking is just so. I don't know. There's few concert films that can really compete with how like you feel like you're there. Like I know a lot of concert films aim for that, but then you also get, like you said, there's quite a few that focus a little too much on the crowds where it'll just like pan to like shots of the crowd. And I think this does like I don't know, I think just each musical number has such an incredible amount of energy to it, but there's variety as well in just like how each one is like filmed and like
Hmm.
it's
It's a
amazing.
great
It's
set and
amazing.
like how it's paced and everything. One
Yeah.
thing I've always been curious about, and I'll ask you this as somebody who's a huge fan of the film. Um, on the poster they say they have this long tagline where part of it's like, why this, why that, and one big point is like, why the big suit? Do you have any theories as to why his suit gets like progressively bigger and like what, like all that stuff, or is that just kind of, you
I
know
think it's. I think the title explains it. There's no
yeah,
point. There's no real. I
there's no
don't think there's
point.
any
Yeah.
purpose other than he's just kind of embracing. Well, I guess the point could be he's just embracing who he is, like just
Yeah.
how insane and just like cracked out the entire film feels. Like you've got him like running laps around like the stage and everything, and like a lot of what's happening doesn't really make sense, and it's just why question it? It's just
Yeah.
hey, he's in a big suit now. Hell yeah, that
Yeah.
rocks.
No, I
I
think
think
that's a good
that's
explanation.
yeah, that's how I see it. But like, I'm sure there's also like some like 10,000 word essay online about the importance of how the suit gets progressively bigger too, and that could probably be correct too. Like I'm
Yeah.
oh dude, it's great. No, amazing pick. I'm just mad it's not number one. I'm kidding. I'm
Oh, I
kidding.
know. I
No,
was thinking
no,
about it
that's
because
fine.
there's actually several picks on my list that are music related, and I was like, so actually, out of my top six, um, three I would call like direct musical films in some way, and one of them has a very important music element.
Okay.
So music
I
is
didn't
my
know you were
theme a
gonna
little
put
bit.
Amelia
Yeah.
Perez on the list, but okay,
Uh,
cool.
don't spoil. Don't spoil.
Sorry,
Uh,
sorry. I will say three films on my like top five also have a lot of musical elements too. So
yeah.
we're not
Yeah.
we're not too wrong there. We're not too far away there. But no, that's an amazing pick. Hell yeah! I'm
Awesome.
so
What's
glad
your
you
number
went there.
six?
My number six is going back to the manic cracked out energy of something like Talk. I watched is it Tarzim? I forget his name. I watched The Cell for the first time.
Oh,
The
with J
2000
Lo.
yes.
Oh, nice.
Yes. I forget I think it's Tarzim, I think the director's name is, and he is he's kind of this like visionary. I know he made a film a couple of years later called The Fool, which people love apparently. Like I've just heard that's amazing. I think Movie recently re-released it on 4K, and it's got one of the like highest averages on Letterboxd. But no,
Yeah.
before that, he made a New Line Cinema like a horror film that's also kind of new metal, and it's like a bit. I don't how do you explain The Cell?
I think you can explain. I mean, yeah.
It's like
Okay. So what I kind of said in my review is it's kind of like Silent of the Lambs meets like Inception a little bit.
that's a good way. That's a good way to put it. I'm gonna pull up my review now, actually, because I think it's probably the best way I would explain the movie, which is here we go. Clive Barker, if he took acid and gave Bob Shaye $30 million to make Saw a few years before that existed, but also it's The Matrix and Seven with some Elm Street thrown together with a screenplay cobbled together from Hodorowski's babbling ramblings that was smeared over the walls in his excrement. Maybe the greatest cinematic achievement since Technicolor. If we shouldn't have this, oh my fucking god.
Yeah, no, that's accurate.
It's
I think I saw it this year for the
absolutely
first time as well. Yeah.
It's lunacy. Like, it's a film that is so like it almost feels like music video cinema without music, if that makes sense, where like everything just feels so huge and grand in scale that doesn't make sense in a traditional narrative film, especially like a lot of the dream logic and everything like that like Elm Street kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But like, it's so creative and it's so bonkers, and like you've got Vincent D'Onofrio playing this like deranged serial killer, and like Vince Vaughn's like a police detective. He's like a detective, and that's just really strange
Yeah, he's
casting
playing like
too.
the Jodie Foster character in Silence of the
Yeah,
Lambs, which
he's
is
playing Jodie Foster's character. J Lo is she's given a performance, but I admire it. I
Yeah,
really admire it, and
I think she's
just
pretty good in it, to be honest.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's such a kooky little film, like just utterly baffling from like minute one to the very end. And I was just like kind of infatuated by just how singular of a vision it feels. Like, there's no one, even though it has all of these like shades of this and that and this and that in that, like, I've never seen a film that like meshes everything together in quite a way as The Cell does. And I watched it like I think drunk as fuck. So I was just like, whoa. I was just like totally like, this is crazy. And still to this day, it's something that I cannot stop thinking about. I think I watched it like halfway through the year, or maybe like August time, and it's just been in my mind since. I got the 4K somewhere. Yes, here we go. I've got the Snazzy Arrow Video 4K of it,
Oh,
which
nice.
is really great, which features both cuts of the film. I've only seen the theatrical. Me and Brady watched it, so I've got to get around to seeing the. Is it a director's cut or the alternate? No, it is a director's cut. Yeah.
I think I watched the director's cut because I watched it at one of those Alamo Drafthouse like Terror Tuesday screenings, and
Yeah.
Trace Thurman, who always programs those, I think he usually, unless it's known that the theatrical cut is much better, he usually goes for the director's cut.
Hell yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm really excited to check out the director's cut just to see a couple more minutes of the insanity of Tarzan or whatever, because he is like above like above and beyond just like one of the more insane filmmakers I've really discovered this year. Like even some of the other stuff on this list, like they're very, I don't want to say traditional films, but they're just like there's few people who make films on like a level of I'm just gonna throw everything at the wall and see what sticks, and he
Yeah.
really does that, and I think he completely excels in my opinion. But I'm also like a sucker for like just really out there stuff like this, so of course it was gonna land on like my top 10.
It's so
Oh,
fun. I don't know that I love it as much as you do, but I think that its reputation is. I remember when like Trace picked it, I was like, really, The Cell? And no, I mean it has a bad. It like got bad reviews when it came out. Especially people were really like mad at J Lo's performance for some reason.
yeah.
I don't understand that at
Oh,
all
I
as a
don't.
criticism of the movie. I think it's a little dumb at times, but I think it's dumb in a way that works, and also it takes itself seriously enough that I think like there's a lot of thriller devices in it that actually do create like genuine tension. Like
Yeah.
the whole central thing of like this character's in a room and water is filling up in it, and they have to solve the case before she drowns, pretty much. Like,
Yeah.
that works really well. I think. I actually, you know what? I think I remember thinking that the only thing that didn't work about it for me, because I loved all of the visuals, like I think I remember saying that it reminded me of like the production design of like Mishima, like the
Yes.
same color palette and those kind of artificial sets and everything. So the dream stuff I loved. It was just some of the Silence of the Lambs like police stuff was a little like kind of standard for me, but not bad totally by any means. So it was like overall I think it worked really well.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's my number 6. What's your number 5?
It is a film. Speaking of Mishima, this film was directed by Paul Schrader. And I, it had been one of my biggest blind spots with him that I just finally was like, okay, I got to check this off the list. And that is First Reformed, which he did in 2018. If you haven't seen it, this is part of Paul Schrader's now kind of famous Man in a Room trilogy, where he takes a character, and honestly, it's kind of funny that this is called a trilogy because, for one, he kind of does the same thing a little bit in O Canada, and he also has sort of been doing the same thing really since Taxi Driver. Like this is a very familiar kind of character that he's writing, but. So it's about a pastor or a minister in this small little church in upstate New York who one day, and played by Ethan Hawke, by the way, and one day he's approached by Amanda Seyfried's character who wants him to sort of counsel her husband, who is somebody, I forget, did they say if he's like a veteran or something like that, if he has any like... I can't remember if that's a detail as well.
I believe he's had some like inclusion in like that.
Yeah. He's had some sort of like trauma related to that or something, but he is really obsessed with like climate change and like environmental degradation, and he's like a total doomer. Like he's just like, the world's gonna end. What are we even doing here? And particularly like his wife is pregnant. Amanda Seyfried's character is pregnant, and she wants to have kids and start this whole future, and he's looking at a future that just to him doesn't seem possible. So Ethan Hawke's character is trying to counsel him on that, and then something happens that I won't spoil, and it changes Ethan Hawke's character very much. It sort of has him go down this same kind of like doomer path in a way, and become more like self-harmful and kind of transgressive, honestly. Like it goes really dark places, like that you could compare to Taxi Driver and things like that. The reason I think it's a great drama. I think throughout it's just a great dilemma, and like you really kind of identify with all these characters and stuff. But the big reason I loved it so much was the fucking ending. It's so simple. Again, it's like I don't even know how much I can say about it because again, you kind of have to have seen the film and stuff. Yeah. But I there's a video essay, or not even a video essay, but there's a great video on YouTube which does a great breakdown of kind of the interpretation of the ending. And Paul Schrader even himself has given kind of a couple of hints of like what the ending could mean and everything. And I love his takes on it too. But it's really, really sad. But it's also like very sweet and like life affirming. Like I think some people watch First Reformed and they're like, it's just one of the most bleak, miserable things they've ever seen. And then some people are like, it's absolutely gives meaning to my life in a way that I may not have even seen it before. And I think I fall into that category. It's a really lovely movie about kind of relationships and people. Just terrific Ethan Hawke performance. I love Amanda Seyfried too. I probably should review it on the channel soon, but I thought The Housemaid was a ton of fun. And I just always love seeing her. This is some of her best work, I think, for sure.
She's great in it.
Yeah. I love me some Paul Schrader, man. I love. I got to see more of his directed works. Hardcore is on my list next. I got to do that.
I really want to show you Save Blue Collar, because I really would like to watch that with you. That's his debut, and I think Blue Collar's like top 3, top 4 of his stuff. It's so good. But no, he's amazing. And no, First Reformed's one that when I first saw it, I was very mid on. Like I didn't really gel with it very much or get a great deal out of it outside of appreciating like the filmmaking elements. But I revisited it, I want to say about a year or two ago, after like diving into Schrader's work, and I was like, okay, I actually have a feel for him now, a feel for his style. And it really, really moved me in a way that it never did on its like initial viewing for me. And it kind of shot up like to like one of his great films for me. Like I see the vision now, as it were.
Yeah. And
no, it's probably got like, again, his like, I'd probably say it's like his greatest ending. Like I think it's probably like it's probably the most impactful ending of his career, and that's saying something.
I would even include that like with the stuff he's written, like Taxi Driver and Last Temptation of Christ, which both have great endings, but it's like, I think this is better.
He's when good old Paulie Schrader hits, he really, really hits. And no, First Reformed is just fantastic. Great,
Yeah.
great pick.
Yeah,
Um,
nice. Yeah, what's your number five?
my number five, kind of similar to your number seven, I want to say,
Okay.
6 or 7, because you had haha funny numbers. You had Stop Making Sense on there. I saw a music concert film this year that I loved. I got to see it in IMAX, and that was Prince, Sign of the Times, which I'd never seen
I
before.
thought you were gonna say
And
the Eras tour, but
yeah. Oh no, no, no. The Aerosol is like it's a really solid film, but it would never it's a really
no.
great solid concert film. It would not make my top 10 list.
Yeah, yeah.
But it's well made. But no, Sign of a Times. Wow. Yeah, no, this I think it recently had like an anniversary, which is why they put it back into theaters worldwide for like a week in IMAX. And kind of similar to Talking Heads when I first watched Stop Making Sense. Prince is someone who I'm very, very familiar with. I've heard a lot of the big songs, but I've never like sat down to listen to a Prince album before. So I was like, how well am I going to find this? How am I going to find this? It's like 80 minutes long. It was right at the heyday. I think it was just after Purple Rain had released, and he was kind of like on top of the world. He directed this when he'd recently got into directing some of his own feature films as well after Purple Rain. And I was just like, okay, I'll give this a shot. I'll see what it's like. It's like 80 minutes. One of the most, alongside Stop Making Sense, one of the most vibrant, incredible, like energetic concert movies ever put to screen. It is so, so cool. It has kind of this like through line narrative of sorts that Prince has added, where like towards the start of the film and the end of the film and moments interspersed in between, there are like these like narrative hooks and everything that are very light but just super stylized, and they have this kind of I forget, like like what we were talking about before with like the Cell and Mishima with their like production design that feels very artificial. It has that kind of approach for this like concept film like through line narrative. But I just thought this looks awesome. Like it has such a great sense of style to it, and it's like very like neon and like underlit and everything. And then
You
when you
say
get to the
narrative, so it's not like completely a concert film. It kind of like there's a bit of a
yeah.
behind the scenes thing
Yes,
to
there's
it.
like
Or okay,
yeah, there's like a bit of a through line, like you're following like Prince playing an actor and he's like saving a girl from a pimp and stuff, and I'm like, this is just like crazy shit. But like it's so out of this world that I was like, no, I'm vibing with this. This is like a total vibe kind of portion of the movie. But then when it gets to the actual musical numbers, oh my god, the way that Prince directs this film is so energetic, and I think it must have came out like a little bit after Stop Making Sense or around that same era, but it has that same focus on making each of the musical numbers feel almost like a set piece, really, where like you're
yep.
watching each song play out, and it's just it doesn't focus too much on the crowd, which I don't love when like it just focuses on like 10-second shots of the crowd most of the time. I want to see the concert, and it really, really focuses on just like the manic energy that Prince has on stage. And it was like Stop Making Sense. It takes like footage from like a few different nights and a few different shoots, so it maintains like the best performance from each of those nights in a way that makes it feel like, how did he have this much energy? And like Stop Making Sense as well, he also spends so much time kind of not just focusing on himself as this great, amazing musician, but also giving a shout out to the other musicians who are helping kind of craft this music and doing the live stage performances. So there's one sequence in particular that blew my mind where the drummer, he lets her kind of just go ape shit for like 4 minutes straight, and she's just playing this like crazy like drum, like just having this like crazy like drum session where she's going absolutely like insane essentially for like 4 minutes straight, and I'm like, this is like the coolest thing I've ever seen. And then we get more amazing Prince music, and then he'll highlight some of the backing singers and they'll have like their own like back and forth. It's so energetic, it's so vibrant, and like the energy in the room, even though it wasn't a fully packed out screening, was like electric. Like the people who were into it, you could just sense that everyone was loving it from like moment one. I don't know if I'd say it's better than Stop Making Sense, but like it is very, very high up there for me as like one of the definitive concert movies. And even if you don't, even if you're not like a huge Prince fan or you're not huge into his work or anything,
Right.
it's so worth checking out regardless. Just as like an incredible like ode to filmmaking, incredible ode to just like live music as a whole, really. Oh god, it's incredible. Like one of the best films I've seen all year. I'm hoping it gets like a 4K release, considering they did that IMAX presentation recently. Because no, I one of my favorite like movie going experiences of last year, catching that on the big screen.
That
Oh,
yeah, I as you kind of alluded to, I'm not like I love Prince in terms of like whenever I hear him, but I'm also not like the biggest like I don't always like there's still a lot more I need to delve into in
yeah,
terms of like I still need to see Purple Rain and other some of that other stuff too. But
yeah.
that's a great pick though.
Oh,
It
it's
sounds
so
really
worth
cool.
watching.
I
I
love that
reckon.
kind of like how it's not fully a concert film either. How there's still a little bit of like weirdo like narrative in there and stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really, really cool stuff, and like I think it's got like insanely like most concert films, it has a very, very high general average. Like it's a 4.2 on Letterboxd. So like people who've seen it really love it. And what's my friend's yeah, my friend's average is also a 4.2. So it's like it's up there as like one of the higher rated like concert films, but like it deservedly so. Like deservedly so. It's like great stuff.
Mhm.
What's your number four?
It is my favorite horror movie that I watched this past year,
The Mummy.
which is I watched it with Brady one time, and he really enjoyed it as well. And that is the film The Mask of the Red Death, which is directed by Roger Corman, and is one of many adaptations that exists and that Corman did. Corman did a bunch of adaptations of Edgar Allan Poe stories. I think this is one of his more famous ones. So this one is about a like kind of a feudal time where there's a big like plague going on. Essentially, that's the titular Red Death. But there's this prince who has essentially like tried to barricade himself in his castle with his like heathens and everything. Like they're still having all of these like parties and everything, and like the mask is a reference to like the masquerade balls that they still hold and everything.
Yeah.
But so he's very clearly like trying to avoid death like of the plague the whole time. And the story is ultimately kind of the Poe story is very much about how that's kind of a futile exercise and how that death is just inevitable for everybody. And Vincent Price plays the prince in it, and he is it was one of the first Vincent Price performances that I've seen. I'm just really underseen on his filmography, and it was just such a diabolical performance. He plays like one of the most like cartoonishly like evil performances I've seen in a while. It's for me, it's on the level of Michael Gambon in The Cook, the Thief, His Wife, and Her Lover. It's just not that like obnoxious. Like it's not trying to like
Yeah.
like it's a little bit more subtle, and he kind of has like he still has more of like diplomacy to him, I'd say, but he's like as evil of a character. Like there are a couple of like truly like horrifying like executions and stuff that he orders in it and stuff like that. But yeah, this film is like incredibly it's one of the most colorful films I've seen in a long time. The masquerade ball that they hold, I kind of couldn't believe I was watching a Roger Corman movie because he's notoriously cheap, and this looks like other than the fact that you're watching like pretty horrific stuff, it looks like it could be like an Oscar bait, like kind of Academy, like British drama or something like that. Like the sets are that good, and
Yeah.
the production design and everything. And it has this great like I love horror movies that tie into Satan at the end, kind of Faustian Price things and all that. It's fantastic. I don't remember if the short story has this element as well, but there's a couple of like peasants that make it into the castle, and the part of the drama of the movie and the reason that you end up hating Roger Corman is like Roger Corman. What am I talking about? Vincent Price's character is like some of the stuff that he does to these characters is just so like awful and hard to watch and all that. So, especially for 1964, especially on the budget that he made this on, this was like unbelievable that this even exists for me. Like,
Yeah.
this is like something that would have had to have come out in like the 80s or 90s or something like that. But yeah, I need to see a lot more Roger Corman, and particularly like his Edgar Allan Poe adaptations. But just incredible. Yeah, I knew he was great, and he had a lot of bangers in his production filmography. But as a director, I didn't know he had this kind of a sauce. So yeah.
No, that sounds amazing. I need to see it. I think I've seen like one or two Corman films, but I really, really need to
That he
dive into.
directed, or
Yeah, I
yeah.
should check. 1 minute. I'll check after. But I'm pretty sure I've seen quite a handful of his productions, obviously, because he had his hand in so many films.
Oh my god, it's.
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
like, he's famous for like that whole like he would take an art house filmmaker who wants to make like the next Terrence Malick movie, and he'd be like, okay, you're gonna make this super schlocky like creature feature now, and you're gonna do it for like less than $1 million, and all this, and under 90 minutes and all that. So yeah, it's kind of crazy. Oh, also wanted to mention the film was shot by Nick Rogue. It was one of
the GOAT.
Yeah, so I mean, like, just one of the best directors ever, but amazing cinematographer before he became a director. And I think my favorite I've seen of that, like, of just the ones he shot. So yeah, just incredible. Oh, it has this really cool, I'm just going over my review to see if I missed anything. It has these really cool uses of wide angle lenses throughout the film, which I thought was just kind of help play with the artifice really well. Yeah, I don't know. It was just incredible horror film, really satisfying ending.
Hell yeah. No, I really need to get around to that. If you ever want to recommend it, let me know. I want to dive into more Corman anyway.
Yeah.
And it seems like you're like head over heels for it, so I'd love to check it out sometime.
Definitely. Yeah.
Oh, no, that's a great
that was my 4. What's your 4?
My 4. Oh, we're back to the insane stuff. My number 4 is something I watched for review purposes, and it was 964 Pinocchio, a 90s movie directed by Shozin Fuku. I'm really bad at pronunciation, but he's an awesome Japanese filmmaker who. The best way to describe his style is like, what if you took Tetsuo the Iron Man and just like expanded on the insanity of it, and that's just like been his entire like get-go. He's just like, I really like Tetsuo, I'm just gonna make more insane shit like that. And this film follows a cyborg individual who was programmed as like a sex slave for these evil women, and he escapes their custody on the streets of like Japan, and he's like, I don't know what to do. He can't really speak or anything. Then this woman kind of just takes him in, and he learns to kind of become a human, but not become a human, but become sentient, I guess I should say. But like, as he's doing this, really wacky stuff is happening behind the scenes. There's an antagonist who has a big head that is a trip to the moon face, and he's just got this big head who wants to like fight him. And the cyborg character, he kind of like does something to the woman at one point which makes her have like this like self-induced like vomiting that goes on. Like, imagine the incredible tunnel scene from Possession that like amazing scene. Imagine if that scene happened in a real public subway, and it consisted of a woman throwing up for like 10 minutes straight. That's the kind of stuff that goes on in this. It is one.
Wait, so it's like guerrilla filmmaking where they did it?
Yes, there's a lot of guerrilla filmmaking in this.
Holy shit!
Like kind of filmmaking, like just unbelievable like stuff that you see. Like, there's just shots where like these crazy parades are going on, and you've just got this character like screaming, looking like a crazy cyborg in public, and I'm like, oh my god. Like, I couldn't believe half of the stuff that I was seeing in this film. It is truly just some of the most like bonkers like filmmaking I think I've ever seen in my entire life. And it kind of feels like you've got brain damage watching it for a lot of the runtime, because you're like, what? Like, you're just watching it and you're like, okay, someone did this, someone made this. But
you led with it's much more insane than Tetsuo, and I'm like, that's a high bar to clear.
It is a lot more insane than Tetsuo. I watched it with a friend who's a big Tetsuo fan, Simon, and we were just kind of floored as we were watching it. Like, it's like the most like metal in your face kind of like punk movie I think I've ever seen. I did like a whole write up for it on Blueprint if you're curious, where I don't really dive too much into spoilers, but it's I guess you could say it's more of a vibe than anything else, but if that vibe was just like frenetic, insane, like energetic chaos, like in your face throughout its entire runtime. It's available on YouTube. It's unbelievably bizarre, but like it's something that I wish more people had seen. It's I wish more people would watch, but it's not for everyone. Like with a lot of the stuff, even like the more crazy stuff like Torque or The Cell, you could probably recommend that to most people and they'd get something out of it. This is very, very niche, I would say. Like, I think like you'd probably get something out of this for sure, but like just recommending this to like family members, they might give you a certain look and they might not take recommendations from you again. So it's like it's one of those kind of films.
Yeah.
But I thought it was great. And this guy's directed one other feature called Rubber's Lover, which is an insane title that I still need to check out. But that was like by far one of the most memorable experiences I had watching a film this year, and one of my favorite. But as you couldn't tell, outside of the like really great like artful stuff that I've seen, if a film is manic and crazy, I'm also a big fan of that too. And this is probably the most manic movie I've watched all year. So that's my number
It sounds
4.
like it. Yeah. Oh man,
Oh,
I'm gonna have to add that to the list. That sounds wild.
oh, it's great. It's a great time. But what's your number 3?
It's a film I'm pretty sure you have on your list as well, and I'm wondering if we have it in the same
It,
spot.
I think if it's the one that you have on there, it might be. It's number 2 for me. I think
Okay.
so. Yeah.
Well,
Is
so
it like
wait, so if I did my
one of the
number
great films ever
3,
made?
oh, okay, then you have one in between. So I'll just do a little something on it real quick, and then you can touch on it later if you want, or
Well,
I don't,
let's
or
just
we could skip
well,
me and you can do your number 3, and we could do it
I'll
together.
quickly touch on my number 3 because I don't think you've seen it, and I know
Okay.
you've seen my number 1. I know you love my number 1.
Okay.
So
Okay.
yeah, it'll be a fun back-to-back discussion. So my number 3, Josie and the Pussycats. Amazing, amazing movie. Loved it, loved it. It's based on
I
like
put
an
this
old
one in the thumbnail because I knew it was going to be on there.
Yes. Oh, I love it. It's Hanna-Barbera like comic strip brought to life in the early 2000s about a fictional band, and they really really want to make it big. It's so fun. It's like 90 minutes. Rosario Dawson's in it. I'm blanking on her name. Who's that mate? I'm gonna find out now. She's Parker Posey. Is it Parker Posey? Please say it's Parker
I
Posey.
believe it's
Yes.
Parker Posey. Yeah.
Parker Posey plays like this antagonistic woman who wants to destroy the Pussycats and make them go all commercial and everything. But like the thing that really, really I just love outside of this like really goofy, campy kind of we're in on the joke in a meta way that actually worked for me. Things because like it's not like a Deadpool thing where characters are talking to the screen, but this film set the record, I believe, and still to this day holds it, for the most like product placement in any film ever. Where the entire film, because it's about Josie and the Pussycats, like the band, kind of becoming huge, and then obviously in most of these movies about big successful bands, you get the part where they're like, "Oh, are we selling out? We're doing this thing." Like even Alvin and the Chipmunks has the moment where they're like, "Oh, are we selling out because we made it too big?" This movie does that, but like littered throughout the entire film, and there's this great montage about 10-15 minutes in where there's just product placement for no reason, where characters will just hold up something that is just so clearly like an ad read, and there's amazing sequence where the girls make it big and the band's huge and they've got money, and traditionally you'd see in a montage like that, you'd see these characters go out shopping and, oh, we're picking out the clothes we like and we're buying all these things we like, but it doesn't really focus on that in this opening montage, and instead they go around shopping, but you don't really see much of what they're buying. The camera just continuously zooms into every product imaginable. So you'll see a GameCube, you'll see like the shop location. It won't highlight what they're doing. It will just be like, here is a product. And they did this all without the like guidance or without the financial backing of these companies. So like it'll zoom in on like a Staples or something, and they're just doing that. And I'm like, this is really funny. Like talking about like, oh, they're getting commercial and everything. They're going commercial and selling out. It's one of the most like tongue in cheek like camp movies I've seen in a good amount of time. I had the greatest time watching this with Brady. I was just like having the time of my life. I think he liked it quite a bit. I don't think he was as in love with it as I was, but I was just like eating up every single second of it. It kind of feels like a queer version of They Live in ways. Like I don't know how else to describe
I see
it.
what you mean with the whole selling out thing. I'm looking at
Yeah,
the cast as well.
it's
So Rosario Dawson, Parker Posey, uh, and then yeah, no, that's a good setup. I can't believe the Rotten Tomato score is as low as it is for the critics.
yeah, people critics really didn't like it at the time, but like quite a few of these films, it's found its cult audience and
Yeah,
they love it. There's not a whole lot more I can really say outside of it's just like one of those like movies that is just so just fun to watch. Like it's just a very fun watch, but I would find it difficult. I think it would be difficult to find someone who didn't have a good time with it. Like I think you'd love it. Like it's one of
oh
those
yeah,
where I'm just like, no, this is a great time. And Parker Posey is like earning every single cent of her paycheck. Like she's so into it, and I
yeah.
love her. She's probably
You know what
giving the
this
best
reminds
performance.
me of a little bit in addition to They Live is actually that bit in Under the Silver Lake where they talk about like all those records of like
Yes.
like hey, all the ones that I actually produced or the ones that were hits were like forced on people by the man. Like I didn't actually make those. All mines are the B-sides that nobody listens
Yeah.
to. That whole bit. Yeah.
Oh god, that's such a great sequel. I love it. Under Silver Lake's a banger. I know you weren't huge on it, but
I
I
liked aspects of it. I need to watch it again, but yeah. Yeah.
yeah, but
Yeah.
no, my third is Josie and the Pussycats. Amazing time. Everybody go watch it. There is one
Awesome.
sequence in the film which is kind of like a meta moment where the characters just look directly at the screen as text on the screen says Josie and the Pussycats is the best movie ever. And I kind of agree. I kind of agree. But yeah, what's your number three
Well,
and
we can do
two?
my three, and I guess it's your two then, right?
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
our collective, I think. Yeah, because
Yeah.
yeah. So what is
So
it? Is it
all that jazz.
all that jazz?
Yeah.
Oh my
Okay, great.
god, yes.
We actually didn't watch this together. I think I watched it
No.
like I think I got it for Christmas last year, and then I think I watched it, and then you like watched it like a week or so later, and then we both
I
talked about it.
Yeah, I
Um,
watched it. I watched it with my sister because my sister really wanted to watch your favorite movie of all time, Chicago, and I hadn't seen Chicago, but I know it's Chicago is like the basis for. I'm forgetting who's the guy who made all that jazz.
Bob Fosse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Bob Fosse. I know he had a hand in Chicago, right? So like it's kind
Yeah,
of like
in the
it's
in the show, not in
yeah,
the 2005 movie.
not in the no,
Yeah.
not in the feature
Or the
film
two that
version,
is it
but
2005 somewhere around there. Yeah.
it's maybe
2002, I
2003.
think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
something like that. But I
Yeah.
know all that jazz is it's essentially like his retelling of creating Chicago, but the names have switched up a little bit, and it becomes something a lot more like a lot bigger and grander as it goes along. I'll let you obviously like sell the film, but like that's basically how I got into it because my sister
Yeah.
wanted to watch it, and I was like, I need to see all that jazz, so it'd be fun to like pair those back to back. And
Yeah.
yeah,
No, I mean, yeah, you kind of like so. Basically, it's about a guy who is a director of like kind of that same style of musical theater performance that Bob Fosse does, the kind of like follies, like dance emphasis kind of shows.
yeah,
And yeah, it's so Roy Scheider plays the main director in it, who and again he's functionally playing Bob Fosse, so you have to keep that in mind throughout because you know the film is kind of about like um all of the like how at times it's kind of like a little tropey and like how it's about like how hard it is to make a piece of art like this like and to direct it, but it becomes so much more complicated and nuanced than that because um it's not about just like, oh, this is hard to put together. It's like this takes a toll on your body.
yeah.
This like kills you to like put together, like and it goes into like his drug abuse and his like his depression, how the show takes him away from his family and like makes him a worse person, honestly.
Yeah.
It's so vulnerable in that way, and it makes himself look like such a again like not a great person that it's kind
Mhm.
of amazing again that you have to remind yourself this guy is Bob Fosse, and Fosse is directing this movie, you know,
Yeah.
um, and so that is part of why I love it. But it's also the music and the dancing is it's so perfect. Just
Yeah.
few movies from as late in time as this, like this came out in 1979, are shot the way that this is, with mostly like pretty wide, framing of the stage and the performers, where you can really see everything, where everything kind of has um, this melody, this rhythm to it as it moves, as opposed to like all the cutting and the close-ups and stuff that you see now.
Yeah.
I just thought it was great. I particularly love that number towards the end, where it's just like he's just repeating over and over again. He's like, I think I'm gonna die.
Yes.
uh,
Yeah.
that is so, oh, it's so sad and so good though.
No, it's one of those films where, like, initially for the first hour or so, you're like, knowing that this is very kind of like self or like autobiographical and everything. You're like, this paints you as like one of the more unlikable individuals I've
Yeah,
seen in a movie, and then the more it goes along, I'm just like, I get it. I
yeah,
get it. I understand. Even though he starts off like Roy's character starts off as somebody who just you really don't like in like every conceivable way, but he has such a vision, the character does, that you're like, even though I don't really agree with virtually everything you're doing to kind of achieve this like process of like the greatest show that you really want to make, like I don't know. There's just something so compelling about it, and like the filmmaking, like you said, is just like out of this world, and the musical numbers are great. And there's that great section about halfway through where he comes back after like a short hiatus, and he's like, "Okay, I've got it. This is my big idea." And it's just that incredibly like provocative piece where like all of the dancers are slowly like stripping their clothes off and just really like going for it. And then I think like seeing the reaction of everybody around him, like, there's no way in hell we're doing this, but it just goes
right.
on, and I'm like, no, this is great.
I
But
might
the
be
thing that
misremembering this, but isn't there also an element of, especially like when they're rehearsing some of that to start, isn't like his daughter, who's pretty young, like involved in it, and like people are like, hey, like why are you like letting your
uh,
young daughter be around
I
this? I
I
can't
think
remember if
she
that's,
might be around. I don't know if the daughter's there though. Like I
I
might be
can't, yeah, that
misremembering.
I might be misremembering that completely, but
But I think for me, without getting too much into like I guess spoiler territory, it's the last like hour of the film which like really like cemented it as like one of the best, not just one of the best films I've seen this year, but like one of the best films I've ever seen. Like again, you were talking about that. Oh, I think I'm gonna die musical number, but everything that's staged around, I'll say, is just some of the more like just I don't know, like the most I don't know what's the word to
it
describe
becomes
it.
like
Like
a movie within a movie, and that's that
yeah,
particular
it,
bit. Yeah,
a movie in a movie, and
yeah,
again, you use the word vulnerable. I think that's the best
yeah,
way to describe it. Like that last hour or so is maybe the most vulnerable I've ever seen a person like project themselves on screen.
yeah.
It's some of the more like oh god, it's so difficult to talk about without really getting into spoiler territory. I knew nothing about the film going into it, so I really don't want to rob somebody of that experience. But no, it's
Yeah.
just it's one of the great films, and I need to see more Bob Fosse stuff. Like I really,
Same.
really do.
I want to
Like
see like
there's
Cabaret for sure.
yeah, Cabaret, and there's that one because I know in the film he's struggling because he just directed a feature film and he's struggling to get the edit, and I know that's based on like a film he did with Dustin Hoffman in real life, I believe.
Yeah,
But I can't remember the name of it. I really want to see that too, just
yeah.
because
No, I can't remember either.
yeah.
But
Um,
he the I had to look this up as well, because keep in mind, this came out in 1979. He died in 1987, so like not that long after this. And
yeah.
again, I think it's kind of crazy to like, be as vulnerable with people that close to your death, like when you kind of know it's coming and all that, you
It,
know.
it reminds me it reminds me a lot of like if I had to think of two things. I don't know how huge you are into like David Bowie, but his last album Black Star. Are you familiar with
Yes,
Yeah,
yes,
it reminds me a lot of Black Star, and it reminds me a lot more recently, I guess, of something like Cronenberg's The Shrouds. Like I
sure.
think like films like that that just feel like they're just like ripping a part of themselves out and just giving it to the audience. And like I feel like
Yeah.
so many artists are terrified to do that, and rightfully so. I mean, projecting yourself on like a big screen on a stage for the whole world to see is something that is terrifying for any like artist or any individual. But there's like a handful of projects like All That Jazz, like The Shrouds, like Black Star, that just kind of just let you into the life of that person. And
Yeah.
no, All That Jazz is just a phenomenal picture. That's a great number 3, and if I don't mind saying so, a great number 2 for me.
Yeah, no, I almost put it higher. Yeah, no, it
Yeah.
was incredible.
What's your
Um,
number 2?
my number 2 is another music film, or like very heavily music based film, which is Robert Altman's Nashville. Uh,
Ooh,
and
okay.
I had
It's
a
not Popeye.
huh? Not
Not
Popeye.
Popeye.
I do really want to see Popeye, to be
I
fair.
want to see Popeye.
Because I started to watch more Robert Altman this year. The Denver Cinema Club, which I'm a member of, like we had a really fun discussion in the summer on, I believe, I can't remember if we did 3 or 4 Robert Altman movies. Let's see. I watched McCabe and Mrs. Miller, Three Women, Nashville. I think what was
The Long Goodbye?
The Long Goodbye. Thank you, the noir
Banger
one. Yeah.
movie. I
Yes.
love that film.
No, and they were I really enjoyed all of them, but by far and away my favorite was Nashville. Robert Altman like has this very chaotic style that I think I'm still getting used to, but at the same time, it feels familiar to me because I see him in so many other modern filmmakers. Paul Thomas Anderson, I think, is a huge fan of Robert Altman, and you can see that in films like Boogie Nights and even One Battle After Another. I think has a lot of influence. But and he loves it. One thing in particular is he loves ensemble casts, especially like he just loves big scenes, big sets with like tons of people, many of which you focus on. And kind of throughout Nashville is about this like it's kind of this portrait of the music scene in Nashville, Tennessee in the mid 1970s. And the opening shot of the film is very like pointedly political, but not necessarily in any direction. It's just it's this draw of do you remember the van, the campaign van in Eddington?
Of course.
Yeah. Okay.
You're being controlled. No,
yeah,
you're being manipulated.
Yeah, you're being manipulated. It's like that. It's not as like this is like the 70s version of that. It's like this pretty standard, like but very decked out like van that's like going down the street and it's just blaring this campaign message to everybody. And then it goes into a musical number, which is it's called 200 Years, and it's essentially it's like this very heavily like American, like Americana kind of song where they go through American history in kind of a nostalgic way. And the chorus of the song is "We must be doing something right to last 200 years" because it came out basically at the bicentennial in like 1975. So and then throughout you go through this huge ensemble of different characters in the music scene, some of which are just like some of it is like really like creepy men, like sort of like kind of coming on to women and things like that. And it has this like very hangout structure to a lot of it, where it's like a little hard to figure out where everything's going. But sneakily, the film is building to this big finale set piece that takes place outside of the replica of the Parthenon in Nashville, where they do this big like campaign rally for that guy at the beginning. And not really spoiler alert, because this is kind of like big in film history and like it's been referenced a lot, kind of throughout. But there's like a political assassination thing that happens there. And I think few films are as like, I don't know, like when we talk about like our kind of the times we're living through now, and people are comparing them to many different time periods. But for me, the one that is just like comes back the most is the 1970s, where there's this like deep cynicism, I think, that exists through everybody. But at the same time, this like cultural identity that is very universal and still lasting. Like in the US, especially, like we're so divided politically, and everything is so, the tensions are so high all the time. But at the same time, we still bond and like kind of recognize ourselves in pop culture and in music especially. And I think this film kind of captures that in a really tender but also a very like bleak and kind of like yeah, like morbid way through like the ending and everything. And yeah, just some of the best music I've seen in a while. If you, I will say you kind of have to like, you don't have to like the stadium country music kind of thing because I don't like that stuff. But if you like, you know, some of the classic country artists like the Dolly Partons types, the Johnny Cashes, the, you know, the little bluegrass kind of thing,
Yeah.
you'll have a good time with the music in Nashville for sure.
Oh, yeah.
And yeah, just kind of insane that it exists, honestly, especially on the scale that it does, because like back in the 70s, like people had to sell movies much more so than now based on stars. Like you had to have like, you know, a movie could make a lot of money if Jack Nicholson was in it. Like, whereas nowadays, you know, you could have a big actor, but depending on what the movie is, it might still have a chance at bombing kind of thing.
Yeah.
This does not have a super star-studded cast. I think the most famous person in it's probably Shelley Duvall, who's in like all of Robert Altman's movies.
Yeah.
So I don't know, just kind of crazy that he was able to do this. And yeah, no, just highly, highly recommend it.
That's a great pick. I need to see more Altman, but that sounds like really up my alley, and it's one of those big films that I've always heard people like raving about, but I feel like I'd love.
Yeah, and it's really funny too. I forgot to mention, like it you know, most of it does get dark at the end, but most of it's kind of like a hangout comedy, not too dissimilar from something like if Boogie Nights wasn't about porn and was instead about the music scene, like it'd be pretty similar, to be fair. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's Boogie Nights is amazing, so that's a great sell. That's a great pitch. Oh,
yeah,
man,
awesome.
that's amazing.
That's my number two, and you said all that jazz was your number two. So what's your number one?
My number one is a film that took me way too long to see, but I got to see it about a month before this director's kind of return to filmmaking after a bit of a hiatus, I guess you could say. It's something that's always like topped lists of like some of the greatest films ever, one of the greatest films ever made, and I'm happy to say that I'm not contrarian in this one, and I agree. It is Bong Joon-ho's Memories of Murder.
Oh, I'm so happy you have it. I forgot that you watched it this year for the first time.
Yeah, I got to see it on the big screen. They played that and Parasite just a bit before Mickey 17, and I was like, of course I'm going to go see Parasite again on the big screen, but Memories of Murder is the one where as soon as I saw they were screening it, I was like, yes. I like booked my tickets immediately because it's one that I've always wanted to watch. Like I think a couple of years ago I watched like 10 minutes of it and I was like, no, this is awesome, but I got a call from
10 minutes
somebody.
I have to ask.
Do you
remember which 10 minutes it was?
The opening 10 minutes.
Okay. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I saw the opening 10 minutes and then I had to pause it and then never got back to it.
Oh, okay. I thought you maybe you had seen a clip out of context.
Oh no. Just,
okay,
I started the movie and then something like I had to leave the house and I was like, oh, I'll finish it, but never got around to it. But no, it's one of like I think it's probably his best film. Like Parasite is fantastic, but I think Memories of Murder is just ever so slightly.
It's my favorite for sure.
Yeah, I think it's like on a filmmaking level, it takes so much from. Like I don't know if you'd agree, but like it has such a a strong influence from like Kiyoshi Kurosawa's Cure. I'd say like a lot of like the kind of procedural kind of like horror aspects to it. Like I wouldn't call it a horror film, but it has a lot of really like quiet, unsettling, like matter of fact. Horror, I guess you could say. Like again, it's like it's based on the true life. Do you remember the killer's name? I'm completely blanking on who the killer was. Like, did they have like a name?
Well, they never. I mean, they never.
Didn't they find him recently? Like, I swear, like a few years ago, they might.
As in the real killer in.
Yes.
I can't remember. I haven't checked the details on the case, but when the movie came out, the case was still unsolved.
Yes. The case was still ongoing, but it's essentially this guy who went around like murdering and like assaulting women. Nobody knew who it was, but he would always do it like late at night when it was raining and stuff, if I recall correctly. And it was also like these very like specific particulars, like killings that are just so graphic and brutal and horrible.
Yeah,
but
it'd be like women in red dresses, and there would be this one song playing on the radio, kind of thing. Like there were always clues. Yeah.
And it's very like it came out before, but like if you've seen the Fincher's Zodiac, it's very similar in a manner where the killer is like almost toying with the detectives throughout. Like he's very aware that people are finding are like on the hunt for him, and he's just toying them again, like with the music. Like there's this whole like radio subplot where he keeps like calling in, and he's like, oh, today I'm going to do this, and yada yada yada. And it's like it's one of the more like disturbing and eerie films I've seen all year. But the one thing I have to say that I never expected going into it, given its reputation as one of the great films and it's like super disturbing, is it's so funny. Like it's so funny. Like Bong
Oh yeah.
injects some of the strangest humor I think I've ever seen. And I think the big one for me was like 15 minutes into the movie. Like you're at a crime scene and no, it's not a crime scene. Like a guy's driving by or something. And this guy, like the Song Kang-ho plays the lead, right? I believe. Like he's like the
Yeah.
primary detective. And he goes up to a guy and for no reason other than he thinks he's suspicious, he just drop kicks him. And this film contains so many unexpected drop kicks that I do not want to spoil that had me like losing my mind. And I was like, what the fuck? Like, it was like, I almost felt like, am I supposed to laugh right now? And then as this continued, and as there's just these other like little moments here and there of like comedy sprinkled through, I was like, I kind of like how it takes this really, really horrific, dark subject matter, plays it completely straight, and whenever it's focusing on like the procedural side of things and like the horrific like murders and like assaults, like you are like locked in those moments, and it's like deeply disturbing stuff. But Bong isn't afraid to inject like levity into it at times, in the
Yeah.
same way that someone like Park Chan Wook is able to do in Sympathy for Mr. Vengeance, like another film
Yeah.
which again is very very bleak, and a lot of the subject matter in that film is just very horrific. And if I were to describe the events of Mr. Vengeance, you'd be like, that sounds unpleasant, but then it's also so funny at the same time. And like I don't know if it's just like this era of filmmaking that like a lot of like Korean filmmakers were able to like blend the two genres. But I know you said recently Park does that with No Other Choice as well, where it's like
Absolutely.
blending like serious subject matter into something
Yeah.
that
And
is a bit
Parasite
more like,
is a dark comedy. I mean, like I
yeah, Parasite too.
there's many moments of it, but I always think of there's this bit towards do you know the YouTuber like Binging with Babish who does like the cooking recreations of like
I'm not
things in
familiar,
movies?
no.
He has one about the noodle dish in Parasite, which looks great, but he kind of breaks it down about how in the movie what they do is they basically it's a mix of two pretty common just like instant noodle dishes in Korea mixed with beef that is like the highest quality beef in the world basically that you can only get in Korea and is only for the rich people. And he was like basically this would be kind of like putting black truffle on like a Big Mac pretty much. And so there's like a lot of like satirical details like that. There's physical comedy with the stuff in the cellar. Like he does this a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's like by far like Bong's most accomplished work. Like I wasn't huge on Mickey 17, but like I really love this. I love Parasite. I thought Mother was pretty good. Like I wasn't
Yeah.
head
Mother is
over
really
heels for
good.
that, but I really did like that one. But no, I just it's just one that even though I saw this early into last year, like February, March time or something, it's really, really stuck with me. And no, I think it's probably like single-handedly the best film I've seen all year. Like that and all that jazz. They're close to being interchangeable for just how incredible they are as films, but I think Memories of Murder just edges it just a touch for
Yeah.
me. But no, that's my number
I
one pick. I
yeah.
love it.
I that's a great pick. I one thing I'll just add, just because it's one of my favorite movies, is the I think it has my favorite fourth wall break in cinema at the end.
Yes.
Uh,
Oh God. Yes.
where
An
like
amazing, amazing.
because the case is unsolved, he basically looks at the audience, and he's like still looking in a way, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah, no,
No.
it's
Oh,
great. Yeah.
amazing film. What's your number one?
My number one is a fairly well recent in that it came out in 2010s, and I saw it I think back in the spring or summer at one point. I had heard it was good and stuff, so I checked it out, and I just couldn't believe how good it was. and it's the film Phoenix by Christian Petzold, the German filmmaker,
Okay.
behind like Transit and more recently A Fire, which Criterion released. I think Criterion has a release of Phoenix as well, which I definitely need to pick up. But this film is about a woman played by Nina Haas, who is she's a Holocaust survivor. Like she was at the start of the movie, she had been she's recovering from surgery. Like so when she was at the camps, she was like severely disfigured with her face, and they essentially gave her like a new face that's very beautiful, but it's not what she used to look like, kind of thing. And so she's adjusting to that, and that's very harrowing in its own right. And then she, she gets in touch with some of her family who had escaped, because basically every member of her family who was in the camps has been killed. And she knows because of that, she's probably in line to receive like a large inheritance based on that. So she's kind of with some of her friends, like talking about restarting her life in that way. And she finds out that her husband in Germany, like, is still alive, but her friend has basically told her some rumors that her husband was the one who actually sold her off to the Nazis, and it blew her cover and everything. And so she doesn't believe this. She doesn't think it's possible. And so her friend's like, just take the money, restart your life. But one night she goes looking for her husband in this club that's very much like a German, like sort of cabaret club kind of thing. And she sees him, and they strike up a conversation, and he doesn't recognize her, but he does. What he says is that you remind me of somebody I used to know. Basically, you remind me of my wife who passed away. And so because of that, he also knows about the inheritance that she is in line for, and he wants it. So what he does is he's like, hey, you look a lot like my wife. Could you help me in like a fraud scheme to like get her inheritance, basically?
Oh my God.
And she wants to find out if he actually did sell. So they have an incentive to be together. And the whole movie is this tension of like, does he know? Why is she doing this? Like, get out of there kind of thing. It's an incredible drama. It's pretty short as well. I want to say it's under 100 minutes, and it has the most fucking incredible ending I've seen this year. It involves music, I will say. I won't spoil it, but towards the end of the movie, like her husband's playing the piano and she's singing. And that's all I'm going to say is like something dramatic happens. Like there's a revelatory thing with that. And then they just kind of leave all the emotion of the movie like on that note. And then the film like blurs and then kind of fades out and everything. So good. I couldn't believe it. Honestly.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, no, it's a heavy one for sure.
I've never heard of this filmmaker before, so I'm like immediately adding this. Yeah, I'm adding this.
Okay.
Yeah, this is.
Yeah, as far as I know, this one and Transit are Transit also stars Franz Rogowski from what's the film Passages that came out a couple years ago.
Okay,
I saw that. But he's in a couple other things too that I can't remember. But he's I think he does like the kind of neo-Hitchcockian kind of like identity thrillers kind of things.
Yeah.
And then A Fire, from what I know, is like a more conventional like dramedy kind of thing. But man, this was
that sounds amazing.
I couldn't believe it, man. It's on Canopy if anybody is curious about watching it. I'm sure it's on Criterion Channel as well, just given its status in the collection there. So, but yeah.
Mm-hmm. No, that's an amazing
number one.
Like, great variety between our two lists. Holy shit. We covered like our favorites of the year list. I think we covered a lot of ground with our collective top tens, really.
Some goofy stuff, some sad stuff, the whole nine.
Oh god, we got oh dude, we got the Wild Robot and all that jazz in the same. I got those in the same list.
And what's the one? It's the Japanese one again. 964.
And yeah, 964 Pinocchio. That one
Yeah,
is just
that
absolutely
with
like bonkers. Stop making sense on your list. We covered some good ground. I'm proud of
absolutely.
both of our lists, and
Yeah.
yeah, no, that was great. Oh, that was
This is such
awesome.
a fun video to do. It really is. And
Oh,
thanks
yeah.
to everybody, Josh and Brady, especially for
Thank
being
you.
in the comments.
Yeah.
So soon, I don't have so I'm definitely thinking of streaming next weekend, just kind of more casually doing like a standard. I'm kind of thinking of maybe inviting like Scott and Pete and Nige or something like that, seeing if people are available. But yeah, no, I'd love to get you on other streams here in the future and just kind of do
That's
more of it on the weekends. Like
Yeah,
it's time for me.
no,
So
it's super fun. It's super fun to just chat about movies and all of that stuff and catch up. No, I had a great time as always. And again, thank you to everyone for stopping by and listening to us waffle about the things we love for 2 hours.
yeah, no, we appreciate everybody. So yeah, thank you. Yeah, and we'll see you guys in the next stream. All right.
See you later.
See ya.
Bye.
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 Gotta click.
Oh, I'm still on. Hi. Hello. 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 Oh no. Okay, I'm gonna go and maybe I'll end the stream. Bye, guys.